my man who's joined us here today is someone that understands confidence and understands how to teach and train confidence. This man has been a friend of mine now for over 24 years. We both date back to the .com era. We are some of the pioneers in enabling e-commerce and digitization we've been talking a lot about. And so how fitting and appropriate. We literally met. He was he ran a huge direct marketing internet company. It was one of the first of its kind that actually flirted in that whole line of doing business on the internet. We're talking 96, 97, 98. As many of you know, I was in credit card processing. So I was working with a lot of these trendsetters, these pioneers that were out there, and I was providing credit card processing services. I also got in heavy to the digitization stage in 1998 and built a platform so that some of the initial people that had never even seen the internet ever used one of those discs provided by Sky Dayton from Earthlink. You remember that, Jerry? And they just literally put it in their computer for the first time in their life and heard all those crazy little sounds. You guys remember, sound like a fax machine. And that's how people got on the internet. And so Jerry and I have been responsible for probably putting together about 500,000 people on the internet for the first time in their entire freaking lives. So when Go Mobile started, and since this is kind of like a bringing the blues back up, the Blues Brothers back together here, getting the band back together because it's been a little bit since Jerry's been with us. And some of you that are on here, you started your relationship with the Go Mobile community thanks to Mr. Jerry Foster here, who's my friend that's joining us today. When we started Go Mobile Solutions, he was right there at the beginning doing our presentations for one of the first opportunities of selling mobile apps to businesses. As many of you already know, you're on here, you're VIPs and white label partners, and you know, as we're in here to the 2020, that this has become an unbelievable boost in demand for what we've been doing for a decade now. This year, guys, and I see this from all the volume of activity coming across the development table, this year far outweighs the last 5 or 6 by a lot. So the opportunity is crazy. And so having Jerry Foster come back, he was with us in Go Mobile Live. And Jerry has been also pivotal in our mastermind, coaching, and mentoring programs over the decade. So I'm so honored to have you back, Jerry, because not only are you an amazing salesperson, but you're an amazing trainer and teacher. And so having this content piece today, what I'm hoping that we're going to do, in fact, I'm convinced we're going to do this, is you're going to take what it is that you're so good at in this presentation style and everything is that you do, and you're going to adopt it to this new world that we live in now. Because one of the things that I know you know for sure is that all these business, did you hear, like literally over 1 million businesses are gone. Guys, 1 million small businesses have been wiped out. These are your favorite restaurants. These were your little confetti places. And again, I'm just bringing that hypothetical out, so no rumor here, so don't go sell your confetti stock if there even such a thing. But like, these are things that your kids, they fall in love with these places and they just never expected to be shut down for 3 straight months. And so everybody's already realized that they got to have a digital version of themselves. And so this moment that we are here in time, where literally like 50-60% of these businesses are being wiped out right now, there is still time for us to save them. I know Jerry knows that. I know Jeff. I know you know that. Sonia. I know Steve. I know you guys are dead convinced that right now somebody better do it, because if they didn't already have a phenomenal digitization profile and presence and process when this all started, one thing I can tell you right now is they're looking for it. So either you're going to get on it or your competition is, because they're leaning in hard right now. And so I've got Jerry here because one, his experience of the digital gold rush number 1, the digital gold rush number 2, and now we are in what I'm calling the digital gold, the 3rd digital gold rush. Nobody better to be joining me right now who understands mobile apps and who understands you, the community. So thank you so much, Jerry. I'm honored to have you here. I feel a little embarrassed that I didn't call you earlier in this sequence, but like I said, when you engaged in that Go Mobile Community private Facebook group, it hit me. And so I'm so thankful that you'd be willing to spend the time with us tonight. So with that, I'd like you to say hi to the Go Mobile community, man.
It's been a while. So great to be here. So great to be here. It's been a while. Is my mic working okay?
You sound beautiful, man. It sounds crystal clear.
Okay.
Probably better than mine.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, it's an absolute joy and a pleasure. I'm humbled and honored that you would ask me to come and teach and train and interact with the Go Mobile community. I am very passionate about what we do as small business owners and entrepreneurs, and it's who says you can't go home, right? Who says you can't go home? I feel like coming home a little bit because we had a great run there, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 14, 15. I think I probably did my last webinar for you in 2016 because I don't remember doing one after I came back from Maui.
Yeah, then you turned into this Hawaiian surfer and you split to Hawaii and wow.
Well, I still, in fact, it was my digital marketing business that allowed that to happen. Just a little bit of a story and explanation for my Hawaiian art, Hawaiian shirt. As Damien knows, I pulled the ripcord in 2015 and moved to Maui. Damien and I have long had an affinity and love for Hawaii. In fact, we had a fantastic time there. I want to say it was 1997, Damien, when we were hanging out.
Right.
Yeah, in fact, sushi and Hanauma Bay and clubbing a little bit in Honolulu, and it was a great trip. And I've always loved Hawaii. And then I went to Maui, and I realized, wait, there's not Hawaii. There's 7 Hawaiian islands, and experiencing Maui for the first time, which actually was not long after we were on Oahu together. We had taken that internet mall. We developed one of the first online shopping malls on the internet. We were the first online shopping mall to go public. We went public 3 weeks before Amazon, and where are they today? There's a story there. And in fact, we used to laugh at them because they sold books and were the darlings of Wall Street and didn't have a prospect for turning a profit for years. And we were already hugely profitable. We had tapped into the small business owner's need to get online and create a website. In fact, we created one of the very first, I won't say the first, but one of the very first web page builders, where you could, from a template-driven system, create a website. Of course, not long after that, GoDaddy did their website tonight, and then, of course, there are thousands of them now. But going to Maui for the first time, I realized, wow, this is amazing, and I stood on one of my favorite beaches still today, and I stood on that beach in 1997, and I said, someday I'm going to live here. And I've visited many times over the years, but let me assure you, visiting and living there are two different things. As you can probably attest, living now in Cabo, you'd visited Cabo, it's very, very different when you live there and when you live in paradise and you're surrounded by paradise. And so that was a fantastic experience. Pulled the ripcord, moved to Maui, and got jerked out of my hammock and pulled back onto the mainland by two things. One was a new business opportunity that was going to require me to teach and train all over the country again, as I'd done for years. And you might realize if you've flown to Hawaii from the mainland, it's pretty hard to commute from Hawaii every week back and forth. And the second thing that jerked me out of my hammock and brought me back to the mainland was grandchildren. While I was there, my first grandchild was born. And then I was trying to live there about half the year, go back and forth. And my second grandchild came 2 weeks early, 3 days before my scheduled flight back to the mainland, and so I missed her birth. I didn't get there until the next morning. And so I'm in a Maui state of mind no matter where I live. I'm in the mountains of western Colorado, if you're familiar with Telluride, Ouray area. I grew up not far from here. I absolutely love it. And it's close enough to spend a lot of time with grandkids. But those of you who have adult children, and Damien, you can relate, unless they move in with you, as yours have. They have their own lives and they're busy and they don't need and or want you hanging around every single day. So I think we found a pretty happy medium where I'm close and get to see them a week or two every 5 or 6 weeks. It's pretty awesome. And I do a fair amount of traveling. I have some clients in Utah. My kids are in Utah, so I get back there on a regular basis. But wow, it's an amazing world we live in today. Time flies. You talk about us being old. I'm 53 today, 2 years younger than Damien. No, I think it's like 5 or 6 years older than Damien. But I promise you this, I'm not acting my age. If I ever act my age, you can hit me upside the head with a bat. It won't be the first time that's happened. Because I think age is most definitely only a number. But one thing that happens with age, as a friend of mine from Texas likes to say, time in the saddle, is we hopefully become better and we become wiser. And it's amazing how time flies. If you think back a year ago, last September, what you were doing, what the world was doing, who'd have thunk that in 5 to 6 months, this world and the world economy would be turned on its head. And there are a lot of people hurting right now. A lot of people hurting. It's been amazing to me. People that I am surprised at how badly they're hurting. Friends, Damien, that you and I have in common that I would consider to be affluent, wealthy, are really struggling right now because this world economy has been turned upside down. It's impacted so many industries, which has the ripple effect on so many other industries. And so it's time for us to figure out what we can do to serve more people. I always think of the Zig Ziglar quote, help enough other people get what they want and you can get what you want. How many times have we used that in our own lives and in teaching over the years, Damien? But it's so true. How much you have in your bank account today is a direct relationship to your ability to serve the world. And in what we do, most of us business to business, our ability, hey Nick. Bring the whole family in. Hi Nick. Busted. Oh my gosh, who's that giant? I cannot believe how big he's gotten. Oh, and welcome to, you're muted, Damien, but welcome to, are you?
There you go. You guys are getting a little Discovery Channel showing there. What is it? Looks like a piece of grass. Looks like 5 pieces of grass.
What is that thing called?
It's not a praying mantis, so it's a stick bug.
Oh, it looks like a praying mantis. Cool. Very cool.
There, and you know what's underneath that little bottle there? There's a scorpion. I killed a scorpion there earlier, and I don't like to kill bugs, I'm going to tell you right now, but we do have babies running around here and puppies, dogs, and stuff like that, so yeah, there's a little scorpion down there. I saw on the opposite. Anyway, back to you, Jerry. Sorry. Discovery Channel action over here.
You've learned to check your shoes before you stick your foot in, right?
The bath towels. That's a tip. I don't know how it is they get up into the bath towels. But
take those babies out. Yeah.
Bryce is like, you all can live in paradise all you want.
All you want.
No
interest. So it's absolutely a pleasure to be here. I think I've got some good content that I want to share. One, I think it was maybe Derek asked me to maybe bring the group up to speed with what I'm doing. I think I've stumbled onto something that is incredibly powerful for business owners, and so maybe we'll take up, do some content, and then that will be content as well, certainly. But I'm excited to share with you probably something I don't think you've seen before. They can have a huge impact on local businesses and especially businesses that are online, spending money online. So so you tell me, Damien, you want to go through it in little chunks and
officially start. What I'd like everybody to do for me right now, as you heard Jerry, it's like coming home. I want him to feel as welcomed as it would be me coming home to this community. So unmute and just say, welcome back, Jerry. Welcome. Just let's get some audio in there.
Welcome back, Jerry.
Hey, what's up, Jerry?
Good to see you, Jerry.
Right.
Welcome,
Great to see you.
Glad to have you, man.
Welcome, Jerry.
Awesome. It's great to see a bunch of familiar names from over the years. This is a great community. Great
Good
community.
to see some of you coming on here, Sergio and Ken, and was that Suker? Yes, Dave. Good to see you, man. Look who's back. It's kind of like Eminem. Look who's back. Chick.
I see those kids are having an influence. This is a beautiful thing.
Awesome. Well, let's rock and roll. So do you want controls?
Yes, so
There you
I'm gonna if I can, I've been nursing this thing especially today, but I think I've got a good enough connection to show slides, and that's kind of my plan, is to give you a little bit of content. You can take some notes on this stuff. The idea behind the slides, just we're very visual learners. I can just talk ad nauseum, but we're visual, and we probably, I've got a great connection right now, 26 down and 31 up. So one of my early slides is a video that I think I can transmit and share. So let me,
By the way, if you got to shut your camera off while you play media on your end, that might help.
yeah. Well, and I've got the camera off on the computer. The cell phone's pretty decent, but let me, I'm trying to, there it is. I'm running two monitors here, which is helpful presenting. So let's,
Good to see you, Eugene. See you snuck in there, buddy. How are you? Hi, Imelda.
all right. So the first thing I want to share with you is an incredibly important point. It's a quote. I'm sure you've probably heard of Og Mandino, but he wrote, "Remember that the most difficult tasks are consummated not by a single explosive burst of energy or effort, but by the constant daily application of the best you have within you." Wow, what an important thing for you to keep in mind. I think one of the greatest things, obviously, about owning your own business and working from home. Many people are getting a little taste of working from home for the first time. I did it for years, raised 3 kids working from home. Not always the easiest thing in the world, but obviously it provides a lot of freedom, and that freedom is a double-edged sword. Because when you work for a boss, you've got someone that you've got to do what they tell you to do. And when you're your own boss, when you work for yourself, you have no one else to be accountable to. I mean, you do especially if you're a provider for your family. You think, well, I'm accountable to them. Yeah, but when you slough off, or when you dog it a little bit, or you sleep in and you take long lunches and you enjoy some of that freedom, you don't have a boss that right on your back, it becomes important that you are accountable to yourself, and so one of the important words that I want you to write down as you're taking notes and going through here is consistency. It's the consistent effort. And I want you to realize how leveraged your time is. If you will work kind of backwards, begin with the end in mind, as one of Stephen Covey's 7 basic habits. Begin with the end in mind. And so the end in mind, obviously you're in business to make money. That's hopefully not the only reason you're in business, but if you had all the money in the world, if you had plenty of money, quote unquote plenty of money, not just for you, but for the people you care about most in life, not just for your todays, but for your tomorrows, where would you be right now at this moment in time? We're a couple of great guys. It's a fun community. We call it happy hour. But I would suggest that if you had all the money in the world, if your todays and tomorrows and your people you care about most in life, their todays and tomorrows were taken care of financially, you might be doing something else right now. Okay? So where do you want to be when you're set financially? Where do you want to be? And we think visually, so I say that and something pops in your head. For most people, it's either a beach or the mountains. Most everyone, they name one of those two. Cabin in the woods or on the beach. Wherever it is for you. So I guess that's kind of sort of, if that's your end goal, if that's where you want to be, then do some creative writing about that. Set some goals. A goal that's not written down is just a dream. You got to have a specific, measurable goals. You got to write them down. You know this, and I believe that everything that I'm teaching you today, and probably most everything that you learn in this life, you already know. You just have to hear it sometimes over and over again, or hear it from a different perspective. There's, I believe, no such thing as an original thought, but they certainly are very rare. So what I'm giving you is what I've been taught and what I've used and what I've learned over time. And so if you think about where, the end goal, where you'd like to be, set a time frame on that. And in order for that to happen, think about what has to happen. If you think about, if you close your eyes right now and you pictured where that is, and you picture where you are today, why aren't you there? And when I teach this to a live audience, well, we have a live audience, and your mics, you can unmute your mics. And anybody want to volunteer and share with us where that is for you, that ultimate place to be? And then the second thing I'd ask you to share is, why aren't you there now? What's lacking? Any volunteers? I don't have.
Nomination goes out to Jeff Hobb.
I put Jeff to sleep already. He's got his camera off. I love when people keep their cameras on and stay awake. I have been on Zooms, not that I was teaching, mind you, but where people fell asleep. It's like, oh man. I feel bad for two people, them, because they're embarrassing themselves, and the presenter. So, anybody, where would you be right now at this moment in time?
I very well may, Tara, you may be able to call it out. Sonia, you may be able to call it out. I very well may have fell asleep on one of these when we first started this, about 21, 22, maybe 23 weeks back. And the first one was 3 a.m, Jerry.
You went till 3 a.m.
I didn't notice.
Anyway, we've tamed it way down.
I'd be financially independent.
Yeah, but where would you be physically? Where would you live?
Where I live now, in Jersey, in the Channel Islands.
And the beautiful area. Yeah, beautiful area. Yeah. And so what would you be doing at this moment in time?
Hopefully doing very well working with you lot, with Go Mobile.
Yeah.
Doing this. That's what I'd like to do at this juncture. Actually do it, as opposed to just talk about it.
You're a lucky and blessed man. I know you know that, because most people dream of living somewhere else and being somewhere else.
Okay,
and,
this is a lovely island.
It's a beautiful place. Absolutely. A lot of people don't even know about that part of the world. Anybody else? Anybody else got a dream, a hope, a wish to be on a beach or on a mountain, just not where you're at right now? Maybe a bigger house, maybe right where you're at, but maybe a bigger house. Maybe, I don't know. nicer house, different neighborhood.
Well, there's also a lot of people that live in the city that are looking to get out of the city now.
Exactly. Yeah.
People
Absolutely. Why do you think I'm up in the mountains? Yeah. Come on, play along. It's a lot better learning experience if someone will help me out.
I'm going to go ahead and share. Even though a lot of fires are going on, but I personally would love to live in Oregon. I have always loved it up there. I just remember going up there when I was a little bit younger with my father, and just to be on a single road with tall trees on each side. I love that. I would love to live up there, even if it's 45 to an hour away from a grocery store. I could care less. That is just my dream right there. I would love to be in Oregon. That's me.
Beautiful country. My great grandmother and grandfather, who I barely remember, he died when I was about 3.5. I vaguely remember him, but when I say my great grandmother was there, and we would go there every few summers, and so I can remember over the years going multiple times. And she lived west of Portland out near Mount Hood. And it is, I'm with you, Bryson, a beautiful, beautiful place. So great, thanks for your participation there. So my question is, as a follow-up then, is why aren't you there today? What's holding you back? What's stopping you from pulling the ripcord and going to Oregon, moving to Oregon tomorrow?
If I'm being completely honest, financially, like Damien was saying in the beginning, Kim and Chase have moved down there with their kids, and they're also my business partners. We actually have a company together at the digital marketing agency, and so we're just trying to get that going. We're trying to grow that business. And another thing that is stopping me from moving is, I'm not gonna lie, it's family. My wife, she's very close with her mother. I'm pretty close with my mother, and that's a big step to kind of move away from them. And eventually I do want to get up there, and I'm pretty sure me and my wife as a married couple, it's going to help us grow. And so I know that's going to be good for us to move up there. But as of right now, financially, we're not in that position to do so. Even though Kim and Chase, they did it. They did it. They got up there. It's just me and my wife were kind of in a different situation at the moment.
So you nailed it on the head. The top two answers, and I think really pretty much. I mean, I'll accept the third answer, but the top two answers are money and time. I don't have the money to move. I don't have the money to live there, or I don't have the ability time-wise to be able to be there. Certainly, I can understand family, but if you had plenty of money in your category, I would put plenty of money to take many business trips back to visit with clients or prospective clients who happen to be in very close proximity to those family members. Because you can't.
I think that's a really, really strong point. It's something that I think plagues people because, and look, if I'm describing your family, I'm not looking to offend, I'm looking to inspire, okay? But I do know that there's some deep-rooted ways of life that started 100 years ago. And they're changing, but some are a lot slower on the change. And that whole I'm born here and I have to die here mentality still exists. And I just want to inspire that if you have the money to go where you want to go, be it Cabo, be it Maui, be it Oregon, you're going to have plenty of money for plane tickets. Exactly. And that was what that just comes with the territory. So don't let that hold you back. The brilliance of this business model, and now that everyone is already used to doing sales or whatever on Zoom. This year's changed. Think of how many people that had never been on camera on the internet before that now do it on a weekly basis with family. So just the new world of the business that you're in and the Zoom, you can live it anywhere. And so that just remember, even though it feels wrong sometimes when you sit down and think about it, it's not. You're in this, life is short. You need to experience. And what's a blessing is when you can then go and help your family experience that too. And I think that's the key. It's not about moving away. It's about setting up in a situation where you can inspire and expose more family to more cultures and more experiences. So anyway.
That's a great point, Damien. I believe we definitely as entrepreneurs are setting an example for the rest of the world. Most people were raised by Depression-era parents or grandparents. They were taught to work hard, don't ask anybody for anything, especially money. Save your money, stay out of debt, and as an end result, most of those people at this point in our world, when they hit 65 are dead broke. And despite their best efforts to work hard and save money, they didn't achieve what it is they wanted to achieve. And so many people that are quote unquote retirement age are unable to retire. So we most definitely are setting an example for the people we care about most in life. And the other thing to keep in mind is, with money come many advantages, which include freedom. One of them is tax advantages. I don't take a trip to see my kids. I take a trip to see my clients. It just so happens that I've found clients that are in close proximity to my kids. Imagine that. Imagine that. Because everywhere we go, there are businesses and people that need what we have to offer. So it doesn't mean it's free, but it means it going to pay taxes one way or the other, right? So keep that in mind.
Gary, it's been the same for you and I since 95, 96. It's been the same way. I mean, seriously, if you remember back to Hawaii, we're sitting there, and of course we had a good time, and yes, we had an event, and yes, we spoke, and yes, we sold, and yes, we did some things, but didn't we also knock on some of the, it's like this whole, for me, I was really young then. I mean, that's 20 plus years ago, but I was like, oh, I love the fact that I can go help a couple local businesses out here, totally write off my trip to Hawaii, and actually plan my next trip down to Hawaii because I got to check up on my clients. And you can do this all over the world. And so we've been doing that forever. That's the thing I want you all to embrace is the business type that you're in is just, it allows that. Businesses are everywhere.
I was 30. I had just turned 30. You were in your mid 20s. My 3 kids are older today than you were when we were in Hawaii. It's just crazy to comprehend how time flies. So what got me on this path of talk about the end in mind, begin with the end in mind, is what you have to create for yourself is something called, write this down, a daily method of operation. Daily method of operation. And in 1993 or 94, I created something that I still use today. It was a combination of 3 books and a VHS videotape. And I created what was a weekly method of operation that broke down each day. And a big inspiration for it was, and I'm going to drop a bunch of platinum nuggets for you, so write these down. You've probably read or listened to a lot of these, but in case you haven't, I already threw out 7 Basic Habits of Stephen Covey. Dale Carnegie, Winning Friends and Influencing People. And in that book, Mr. Carnegie taught that every Saturday night, he would review his, I believe he talked about it in terms of his goals from this previous week. How did he do on his goals? What he wanted to accomplish that week, and then he would map out the next week, and it was his goal to take Sunday off. And I think one of the things that I've been over the years is incredibly teachable and humble enough to realize that I want what someone else has. I want success, so I'm going to learn from successful people. And so all these years, still today, I use Saturday night because if it worked for Mr. Carnegie, it worked for me. And so what you want to create for yourself, if I had a whiteboard, well, actually I do have a whiteboard. My mouse writing isn't the best, but you can use a spreadsheet, you can use a piece of paper, but just draw for yourself. See, that's a straight line for you. That's my mouse's fault, not mine. Draw a table. Wow, it's really hard to draw a straight line with a mouse. Let me try that again. Blue, I learned in the self-development course, blue works better for your brain. So So if you're taking notes and you're writing in your journal, again, I'm humble and teachable. I didn't ask why, but they've done scientific research and they've found that blue, when you take notes in blue, you actually get more out of it. You retain more. Somehow it gets through to your brain more. So those of you who are humble and teachable and coachable will start using a lot of blue pens. Those of you that think, yeah, that's crazy. All right, talk to me about your income 5 years from now. Let me know where you're at. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to take this top, and again, you can use a spreadsheet. I use good old legal pad. Again, a legal pad. And I want you to put your activity here. There are certain activities that you need to be doing, and I'm going to abbreviate, activities that you need to be doing in your business, right? Boom, boom. How many of them are there? Are there 10? Are there 15? Are there 5? And these are activities that you do on a regular basis. You don't have to do them every day, although some you better be doing every day, okay? And so you put the activities across the top. Those of you who are scoring from home or took a math class once, that's the x-axis. Down the y-axis, you put the days of the week. My week starts with Monday. And so with each of these activities, write this down. If you want to be terrific, you have to be specific. If you want to be terrific, you have to be specific. So activity number 1, somebody throw out an activity that you need to be regularly doing in your business, and possibly every day, but certainly multiple times during the week. Somebody throw out what that activity would be.
Cold outreach.
Cold outreach, okay? If you want to be terrific, you have to be specific. So I could name 117 methods of cold outreach. So give me one.
Cold calling, cold emailing, DMing.
I know it's 2020, and I know this is hard for people, and I can't show my phone because I'm using my phone as a camera, but what I do on stage is I hold up and I say, what's this called? What's this called? What is it? Pretend I'm holding it. Again, you can't see it because I'm filming from the phone. So pretend this is not my remote for my flat screen. Well, what is this? Pretend it's my phone. What is this?
Phone.
Is it phone? Okay, then why don't you use it as such and do this and call people? Yes, we can become so reliant on text messaging, email, WhatsApp, whatever, okay? Use it to call. Now that is one method of outreach, okay? But thank you. Is it Bryson? Is that right? Bryson?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bryson. Great. So phone calls, cold outreach, cold calling, phone calls. Okay, so if you look at your daily method of operation, beginning with the end in mind, I want to live in Oregon, I have plenty of money to come back and forth and bring mom and mom-in-law up and back. How many calls a day? How many cold outreach calls a day? How many?
So me personally, I like to reach out to at least a minimum of 20 new people per day, and that's not including my follow-ups.
Simple answer, 20. Okay, 20. Great. So if you're, and you're exactly right about the follow. This is cold. This is new. Okay. So when would you make those calls? Generally speaking, business hours, right? Okay. So in this box right here, you could do it a couple of times on Monday, a couple of times on Monday, or you could sit down and you could get the duct tape out, right? Damien, remember the call center days? And you could take the duct tape out and duct tape that phone to your face, and you don't get up for anything, including what they call these days biology breaks, until you've made your 20 cold calls. Now, the good news is it won't take long because most people don't answer their phone. Now, if we're calling businesses, they answer their phone, okay? So let me give you a really great platinum nugget. You ready for it? Call the business owners or the decision makers early. You can You can call a business number earlier than you can politely call someone at home. And I had a lot of success back in the day calling on business owners starting at 7:30 in the morning. Got a lot of answer machines. That's when it was. That's the era, okay? Or ring no answers. But you're going to be calling the business owners before the gatekeeper gets there. And you can start early at 7. Now, 7:30, but before 8, because the gatekeeper or the receptionist or whomever might get there at 8, you want to be making those calls before they get there. Now, what time zone are you in, Bryson?
I am in Mountain Standard Time.
Mountain Standard, as am I, so I got great news for you. That means you can be making phone calls at 5 a.m.
Right.
to the East Coast. And you follow the clock as the clock moves, as the sun moves west, as the sunrise moves west, you can follow the clock. So in other words, you could start at 5 and at 11 a.m. in half the year, it's 7 a.m. in Hawaii for you, the mountain time zone. Okay?
Right.
Now, I used it in reverse because I used to, I've done a lot of business in real estate, and I used to call homeowners, and you want to call homeowners late at night, in the evening. And I always wanted to call after 8. Best time to call was after 9. And I would call until the late night news started. Yes, that means East Coast and West Coast of the U.S. I would call up until 11 o'clock at night because I was calling people that wanted to sell their house. And if they need to sell their house, do they mind if I call at 10:30 at night?
No.
Late night news hasn't even started yet. Okay, and I mean, I'm not insane. I mean, I would, in the central and mountain time zones, late night news starts at 10, so I wouldn't call after 10. But then I would just start in the East Coast and migrate west all the way to Hawaii, which means I could call Hawaii
So,
as late as. What's that?
So Bryson, question for you.
Yeah.
When would you say is the earliest that you start your calling now?
Currently, I usually starting at 8 a.m.
Hold on. So like, don't give us the answer that you want to be, you want to look the best at. It's just like when you're actually calling, okay, you're literally dialing the first number of 30 people you're going to call that day, or 20 you said.
Right.
Is that around 8 on the button, or is it 9? Is it 10-ish? Is it after breakfast? Do you have to get your mind right for an hour?
So I typically start at 8 a.m. because I have a process because I wake up at 5:30 and then I go through my morning routine and then I actually start my networking for the day a little bit and my daily postings, and then I start at 8 a.m.
Beautiful. So
Awesome.
Imagine if you did what Jerry's talking about and you brought this thing up to 5 a.m. You're already getting up at that time. What you do is you swap it. You basically drop, if you don't mind, Jerry, I'm loving this tee up. This is a great tee up. You're basically going to drop all your 20-30 bombs in the morning. Boom, 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 5. You're going to leave some really cool messages, some things that intrigue them to call you back or whatever. You're going to get all that done. And at 8 o'clock, then you're going to go do your routine. Now you're going to go get your mind right. You've already got your calls out of the way. And then when you get back, you hope to have some return calls.
Right.
And those are the people that you get to work on that day. So imagine the time you gain by moving it from 8 to 5. And then all you're going to do with your morning routine, as long as you can take some coffee and still be good. I know for me, I used to really have to have my morning routine or forget about it. The coffee works now, and then flip it. That'd be my suggestion.
Perfect.
The smartest people in the history of the world were nappers. The smartest people in the history of the world were great nappers. I know it's not hard in Mexico to take a siesta, right? But seriously, if you want to start at 4 a.m. so you can go from 4 to 5, do your morning routine, work out, personal development, whatever, but you're on the phone. So this is Monday from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. It's cold calling. I'm not going to write it again. This activity 1, cold calling. And you said 20. Well, okay, so that means set a goal to do more. Set a goal to do 30. Maybe go 10%, go 20% more, whatever. Now, if you don't get 30 done and you get 20, is that okay? That's okay.
Right.
Set your goals higher than you actually think you have the ability to achieve. Your income goals, your activity goals, everything. Okay, and then 2 magic words. put before a goal statement, because you should then write this out, and put the 2 magic words in front of every goal statement. The 2 magic words are I must. Okay, so in this case, I must make 30 cold calls by telephone from 5 to 8 a.m. I must create a sense of urgency. That's the people that achieve the most in life have the big whys. So why are you doing this? Okay, the bigger your why, the bigger you're going to your accomplishments. And then the second thing is they create their own sense of urgency. I'm going to get to that in a second when I teach you the 4 quadrants. Okay, so that's activity number 1, and that's measurable, right? It's measurable in terms of time. It doesn't have to be 3 hours. It could be an hour. It could be 2 hours. Whatever. It could be a half an hour. It could be some activity that you do for 15 minutes. Do it at least quarter hours, right? And then it's a measurable. It's quantitative. It's measurable in terms of results. Okay. So that's activity number 1. And now just go through your business, map this out with additional activities. We don't have to go into that. You get the concept. So now map out your activities and then map out your days of the week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then I want totals.
The
And
follow-up
then-
obviously is one.
Yeah, follow-up obviously is an activity. Phone calls, follow-up emails, follow-up text messages. I mean, again, there could be 72 different activities. So Monday, Tuesday.
Okay, so you suggest to break those down. That's important. So if the outreach is 3 different styles of outreach, break those down as 3 different activities.
Break it down. Yeah. So if this is cold, and so you can certainly use email as cold outreach. You can get the email address of the decision maker or the owner, and then you can send cold emails as well, introducing yourself, introducing what it is you can do for them. And so if you say, then you're going to do that for an hour, then okay, then this is 5 to 7, and from 7 to 8 you're sending the emails, whatever it is. Now, when do you prepare? There are certain things you do that are income generating activities, and there are other things you do in your business that are not income generating activities. And to use a sports analogy, there's game time. Game time is business hours. Don't you dare look up phone numbers and who to call at 5 a.m. You sit down at your desk with a list of 30 names and phone numbers that you're going to call that you created outside of game time. Game time's business hours. Okay? So earlier than 5 or late at night, you can do your prospecting. You can use your software tools where you are they still using the software that we used to have, Damien, where they can put in plumbers in Houston, Texas, and pull all that data, right?
Yes.
Okay, so do all that outside of game time. When you sit down at your desk to make 30 calls, you're doing nothing but smiling and down, smiling and down, smiling and down. Now, as I said, oftentimes you won't get someone when you call them, whether it's a cold call or a follow-up call. So always create a sense of urgency for them to call you back. I get return phone calls. Because I leave a compelling message. Okay, I'll talk about that here in a little bit. All right, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, this is totals, and this is Sunday. Okay, so you use what works for you. This is what's worked for me for over 25 years. So on Saturday night, I can look at my totals. Well, hours and number of calls for this, I should have a total, and I should have hit those every day. Okay, and then you can do that with all your activities across here. Okay, good news. The week isn't officially over yet because, again, my week starts on Monday. My goal is to not work on Sunday. Guess what I work on Sunday? When I didn't hit my numbers up here. Now, there are going to be some activities in the B2B world that you can't do on Sunday, okay? But there are other activities that you can do on Sunday. You bust your butt on Sunday to make up for what you didn't get done when you should have gotten it done. And so Saturday night, you look back, how'd I do with everything, all of this, right? All of it, how'd I do, okay? and then Sunday you fill in the gaps if need be, if you have to. Okay. All right. So that's the methodology there. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to audit your time, and I want you to just take a small notebook. Do I have any? Almost big notebooks here. I don't have a small one within arm's reach. But just take a small notebook, okay? And it could be one of those cheapy little spiral ones that fit in your pocket or your purse, ladies. And I want you to carry it with you everywhere you go for at least 2 days. At least 2 days, okay? Now, some of you are working for yourself full-time, and some of you are part-time. Okay, so if you are part-time because you still work for someone else, then you better kick butt and work hard for them during business hours when you're supposed to be working for them. I want you to log your time the rest of the day. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, I want you to log at least for 2 days. 3 is even better. And log your activities. And in the old days, we used to have something called a time card. And we used to stick it in this time clock. And it would timestamp when we checked in, when we checked out. You're going to keep that little notebook, and you're going to log your time in quarter hours for every activity, everything that you do. Well, I mean, some things only take about 30 seconds. You don't have to write that one down. Okay, but if you're watching TV, if you're wasting time on Instagram, whatever it is, okay? I want you to log everything you do for at least 2, hopefully 3 days in quarter hours. After you've done that time audit, set it aside for a day or 2. Be honest with yourself. This is for your use. Then I want you to categorize everything. Oh, look, I figured out how to draw a straight line. You used a different tool. Cool. Okay. So you have 4 quadrants. This is quadrant number 1, quadrant number 2, quadrant number 3. And you feel smarter when you use Roman numerals. It makes me feel smarter. Where'd we first learn Roman numerals, Damien? Remember? The Super Bowls. I got fascinated as an 8-year-old kid by Roman numerals because the Super Bowls are in Roman numerals, okay?
Yeah, and we all know the Steelers have had more of them than any other team, including the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, who won Sunday? Didn't they play each other Sunday?
No, we're actually tied now, I think, with yeah.
No, but didn't the Broncos play the Steelers?
This last weekend was the Broncos and Steelers. I was driving, I missed them. But
so you don't even know who won?
I know who won. We're 2-0. We had the Giants first week. Great, I was in San Diego for that. We had your boys.
They were playing. I saw that they were playing.
I was supposed to wear your jersey that you made me wear that one year.
Yeah. I saw that they were playing, and it would be impossible for me to care less about the NFL. Actually, that's not true. I cared less about the NBA. So I can't say I couldn't care less about the NFL.
I appreciate if all of you guys bear with us, because this is actually a pretty important kind of a fun thing going on right here, in that, Jerry, you have to wear a Steelers jersey now, and you have to stand out there in Colorado on a main street, and you got to give me a picture.
That was never about who won or lost. That was about a different kind of scoreboard. And Jeff Hopp will remember this because it was the Dental Authority formula, and it was how many points I put on the board for Dental Authority formula. If you'll recollect.
Oh,
yes,
wow,
yes.
Man, I totally missed that. I thought it was okay. All right, I stand corrected.
Yeah, you'll have to be patient with Damien. He's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I grew up in Colorado, so I have a good excuse for being a Denver Broncos fan. Okay, so you take your time log that you tracked for 2 or hopefully 3 days, and every activity that you do fits into one of these 4 categories. And I can type better than I can draw. So category number 1 is urgent and important. Okay. Category number 2 is not urgent, and not important. Category number 4, we're going on the clock face here, is urgent and not important. And category number 3 is always a magic number, is not urgent, but it is important. Okay? Can you see all those okay? Are you seeing my whiteboard? Yeah, you're seeing it. Okay, I'm looking at my phone now. You see it. Okay, so everything you do fits into one of these 4 categories. All right, so unmute your microphones and give me something from your daily life that you did today or yesterday that was urgent and important. All right, you can get back to me on that. Okay. I would suggest that everything that was urgent and important got done. Are you with me there? Okay, let's use the example of going on vacation. Let's say you're, most people are traveling right now and they're taking vacations, but let's say you were. Let's say that you had a big vacation, you've been planning it for a long time, and you have to leave your house to go to the airport, or if you're driving, you have to leave your house at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. And you're going to be gone for a period of time, let's say 2 weeks. Are there things that you would have to do today in order to go on the vacation? There'd be business things, there'd be things in your personal life. You'd have to do them. They have to get done before you leave on vacation. Well, am I the only one here that's pulled an all-nighter the night before I went on vacation, or has someone else done that as well? Raise your hand if you have. That pulled an all-nighter the night before vacation. Why? Because you just had so many things that were urgent and important. Excuse me, I'll be right back. Sorry, 1 second, I'll be right back.
Right.
Okay, so wherever I went, it must have been urgent and important, right? It was a teaching moment. You see my point. If it's urgent and important, you don't have to put it on your calendar, because you have to get it done. Believe me, you're not going to forget if it's urgent and important, okay? So you don't have to plan category number 2 here. It's automatic. You with me? Okay, so I'm going to turn on my little Cursor Pro, my little highlighter here. All right, how about not urgent and it's important? Oh, wait. No, I'm sorry. This is, I did the wrong thing here. Sorry. I don't know how to edit that. Let me erase it. Why are you looking at me so confused? I duplicated. This is, you probably figured out, this is not urgent and not important. Give me something you did today or yesterday that was not urgent and it was not important.
Watching TV.
Bingo. Unless you're invested in the stock market and you're watching Squawk Talk in the morning and you want to hear what Joe Kernan has to say about the market, okay? I mean, I would suggest that there are things you can watch on TV that are beneficial and educational. And yes, we all need some downtime. We all need to, that was a day, wasn't it? Yeah, we all need that time. But I'm going to say leisure activities. And I don't mean taking your kids to the park, pushing them on the swing set. I would suggest that's urgent and important. Or if it's not urgent, it's certainly important, okay? So, obviously, as you go through your time log, and be honest with yourself so that you can audit it after the fact, you want to minimize this category, right? You want to minimize this category. And literally, you can schedule downtime. You can schedule leisure time. You know, I bust my ass. I'm going to hit my goals for the day, and I'm going to watch a movie that one of my friends told me about on Netflix.
Or
but I'm only going to do that.
Go hit the surf.
Yeah, but I'm only going to do that as a reward for having done what I wanted to do. We're going to have two things in life that motivate us, it's the carrot and the stick. I would suggest that the stick is more motivating, okay? So reward yourself, that's the carrot, when you hit your goals, and penalize yourself when you don't hit your goals. And one of my early mentors, may he rest in peace, he's gone now. The older I get, the more of them are dying. He actually was my age though, he died way too young. He taught me this principle of penalize yourself and create a penalty, something that you hate that you have to do. And for him, he hated cleaning the toilets. And he had three bathrooms in his home at the time. And if he didn't hit his goal that he set for himself, he had to go and clean all 3 toilets. And he hated to do that, right? So if it works for you, go for it, right? Not urgent, not important. Okay, category number 4. Give me something that's urgent, but it is not important. This usually stumps people. This is a hard one. Can you think of something that's urgent, but not important? Bing! Notification pops up on my screen. Working. Bing! Notification pops up on my screen. Oh, what's that email? Oh, what's that? Oh, what they put on Facebook? We used to just say, as a simple example, a ringing phone. Ring, 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 ring. That's urgent. Ring, 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 ring. You can ignore it. It'll eventually stop ringing. But I think you'll agree with me that usually, well, actually these days we can't probably even use that example because holy crap, the phone's ringing. Who would that be? No one calls, right?
Yeah, there's something wrong with the phone rings today.
Yeah. In 04, 05, 06, I used to use the example of, 5 of us at home, 3 kids, we all had our own cell phones. If the home phone rang, I think I last had a home hard line in 05 probably. And man, if someone called on the home phone, we all looked at each other like, who the hell's that? Because everyone was already calling cell phones. But there are things in your life that are, there's an urgency, but it's not important. And you'll see when you audit your time if you have some things that fit in there. And I would definitely suggest.
I think that's a big poison is the butterflies. I call them the butterflies. One thing that I would suggest you try once just for the feeling of trying it is to shut off all the notifications on your phone. All of them.
Absolutely. That's what I was just going to say. Turn the notifications off. Turn the notifications off. Right now, my phone is in Do Not Disturb mode. And I don't know if you have an iPhone. The way the iPhone Do Not Disturb function works is that the only people that will get through right now are people that are in my favorites. And that's literally my kids. And back in the day, I was on stage. My kids were still at home. And, man, if my kids needed something, they were going to call. And if I was on stage, literally I have my phone there. It was on vibrate. But if I'm on stage and that phone rings, if I'm doing a training, which normally is a day long to 3 days long, not a 90-minute sales presentation. They're going to have to wait until the 90-minute sales presentation is over. But I would take a break and answer that phone, right? Okay, so absolutely turn on the computer, turn all the notifications off. I don't even get notifications for social media.
One of the things that's going to happen, because we all are guilty of it, is because it's convenient, right? The reason why the notifications are turned on is because you want the convenience of the communication, and we turn them all on. And it blew my mind. I didn't realize it was about 2-3 days, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm just more, and I'm not making this up. Like, I was just more peaceful. And it took a minute to realize that I hadn't been getting my notifications for the last 2-3 days. Now, here's what also happens. You're going to find that there's that one thing that you actually need to have the notification on for. Like maybe you forgot to keep the one on for the babysitter or the daycare or whatever. So you're like, okay, no, I need to have that one on. Well, you learn which ones you need to have on pretty quickly. And then you get but I like a straight 100% shut off. Because it's interesting to learn what you need and what you don't need.
Absolutely. One of the things I've done, if a client sends me an email, and this started for me back in the BlackBerry days, and Damien will remember this. I was carrying a BlackBerry, and BlackBerry had to push on email. And I would blow everyone's mind, and Damien more than once would say, my God, I sent you that email 10 seconds ago. You've already responded. Because I had this stealth weapon called BlackBerry, and it was the first to have push email. And so I literally was at my kid's softball game or baseball game or dance recital or wherever or anywhere in the world, and the email would come as a push. That didn't exist anywhere else. And it was a lethal weapon, man. It was awesome to be that responsive for clients. So what I've done to give me that back is I've installed a mail app on my iPhone, and the only email address on that mail app is my business client email. And I don't register for anything or sign up for anything or use that email address for anything but clients. And that notification hits me, and I've got all the other notifications turned off, email related, right? And so I would suggest that's a great tip. Sooner or later I'll get into the train that I actually planned for today.
As long as we're not encroaching on your time too much, as long as you have the time to share with us.
Yep. No, I dedicated this time for you guys. Okay, so I saved the best for last. 3's the magic number. I love the number 3. Damien knows this. When my kids' uniform numbers were 3, I think that's kind of sort of where it started. I have 3 kids. I have 3 grandkids. Don't stop, can't have more grandkids. 3's the perfect number. No, just kidding. I want them each to have 3. I think that would be perfect. But 3's the magic number. And 3 is the magic category in your life. Now, because I taught this is going to affect your time audit in your 2 or 3 days. Had I not taught this, if I just gave you the assignment cold this week and then next week I taught this, if I just said, hey, I'm going to teach amazing time management and time effectiveness and efficiency strategy next week, so your assignment for this week is do this time audit for 3 days. And then I didn't teach this principle. This now is going to affect your time audit. Had I not taught this, I would suggest to you that this would be the smallest category on your time log. This not urgent, but important. It's the smallest category of where you spend your time. Why? Because you got so many damn urgencies going on, and then you let your time get sucked in by not urgent and not important. And a failure to plan is a plan to fail, right? So if you understand the principle here, and I won't take the time here in the interest of time because I've got several things I want to cover today, but I want you to map out in your life, your personal life, and in your business, items that are not urgent, but that are important. You're probably thinking of multiple, okay? Write them down. I always take 2 sets of notes. When I'm in a class or a training setting, I take what I'll call lecture notes, and then I call brainstorm notes, okay? So as I'm saying something here, and you're thinking, and your brain comes up with an idea, write it down and focus back. Write it down as fast as you can, then get your focus back here, okay? I would suggest to you that people that accomplish the most in business and in their personal life and are the quote-unquote most successful spend a significant amount of their time on items that are not urgent and are important. Now, what will happen with time is that if we don't do the things that are not urgent, but they are important, they become raging forest fires, and eventually they become urgent and important. And you know, if you're this person or not, that spends most of your time in forest fire fighting mode because you didn't do it here, then it migrated up here and it's now urgent and important, and you freaking got to do it now. You can't wait. You have to do it because it's become urgent. Well, I would suggest that you'll be less effective on whatever that task or item is than if you would have done it back here when it was not yet urgent, but it was important. And then here's the trick. here's the hack. The life hack is create the sense of urgency. And one way to do it is to use the 2 magic words. I must. I must do this. If you want to be terrific, you have to be specific at this time on this day. And do it before it becomes urgent. And you focus a majority of your activities on what's important before it becomes urgent. That is a valuable piece right there. If you will apply that, that is, I believe, incredibly valuable. So I'd love to hear from you. Comment in the Facebook group or something after you do this. If it was beneficial, if it's helpful, if you got something out of that after the fact, let me know. Wow. Okay. So on to slide 2. All of that was impromptu. I feel inspired. I've learned at this point in my life enough time in the saddle to listen to promptings and to go with promptings. And when I'm prompted to share, I share. So,
I think that I'd like to also point out that there are probably a handful of you on here that were like, okay, some of that was basic, and I want to make this very clear that
it's all basic. God, it's all basic.
I constantly bring myself every year. I assess there's all kinds of shit screwed up every year. I say for all of us, and I assess that, and so I find myself once or twice per year getting into the basics. Like, where did I stray? I don't even have like how many calls I'm going to make, and even right now, what could those calls be? Well, maybe I want more JV partners to promote my webinar to their people. Well, I got to do the same thing. This week I'm going to call 6. I hate doing it. I hate going, hey man, hey Ben, how are you, bud? You know what? I've got something new. You got to look at it. I'd love for you to promote. Like, it's not one of the most favorite parts of my job, but I got to put the numbers there. And again, it's going back to basics. And I think all of us, whether you're digital agency, whether you're doing real estate, or, Martin, whether you're still employed, corporate America, you still have a job to get done. And sometimes it's like we get so far from basic because we're so darn good at what it is that we do, whereas we actually optimize when we go back to basics. So I actually love, Jerry, what you've been taking us through here, bringing it down granularly to the activity, and then breaking into the 4 quadrants, because I think some of that is what's missing here. Like, Bryson, I'm glad that you were the one that decided to throw your hat in the ring for the workshop experience, because you sent me a message, and I think that really helps to answer the message you sent me, in that you wanted to really, you've got your sales process that you could use some dialing in. Well, here's one thing our friend Omar Periu would always tell you. You got to just constantly be selling. You got to constantly, it's the 6-foot rule. You've got to constantly be prospecting. If what you do is really helping people and what you do you really believe in, then you should feel really comfortable sharing it with everybody, whether they're prospects or not, because they may know prospects. And that's how you need to become possessed. You need to become possessed that you might actually save the restaurant from going out of business, Tara. Steve, you might actually save the golf course from having to shut down. For those of you that go out to the car dealership, or like I said, the chiropractors, because people aren't coming in to get the adjustments. All these people need to digitize, and you could be the one that saves them. And so just, if you break it down to numbers, if you go back to basics, if you draw it down to goals, if you develop penalties. Look, penalties. What could be a couple quick penalties that I'll deliver? I should keep my voice down because I'm definitely going to get called out on this one. But number 1 is giving my wife a massage. She should take that to the hilt. If I ever screw up, that should be the penalty, because she needs it a lot, and sometimes I'm lazy, right? Or washing dishes. That's number 2. So just like you said, Jerry, like, if I really need to contact 20 people a day, because I might get a deal a day, and that's going to make a significant change in my lifestyle and help me accomplish the goals that I'm set out to accomplish, be able to live where I want to live, whatever be the case, whatever your win is, then in my opinion, it's get that penalty in place, the thing that you hate to do, and then set up a very realistic parameter of action steps, break it down in the 4 quadrants, break it down in the template that Jerry gives. We'll provide this when we actually upload this to the Go Mobile Marketing Masters private Facebook group. we'll put the deck in there, and we'll put some of the other helpful things for you to, that we shared, like the notes that we're putting in here. Sonia, thank you for your notes. But listen, Jerry, we're not done. I just wanted to say that, take a minute to say that, man, this has been good, because I'm already going to do an exercise on Sunday night that's going to be similar to this for me right now, and it wasn't on my radar. So
listen, you're going to find what works for you, and just because it works for me doesn't mean it works for you. But I would suggest that you implement strategies and try them out, and then this that I gave you, like I said, is a modification of I think it was 4 books and a video back in the day, VHS video. And so then I took think about all the content that's in 4 books, and it was like a 90-minute video, and I created this concept that's really worked well. So you're going to adapt to what works for you. So I got a question for you. Who wants to learn the inside deal? I mean, really, how things really work. Who wants to learn the inside deal? How things really work. Okay. Well, I just found out 4 magic words that will transform your business. And I'll share those with you before I finish. Okay? That's not now. You gotta stick around. I'm gonna share that with you here in a little bit. I want to talk about something that is incredibly important to me, and it should be important to you, and it's the power and importance of personal development. How do you develop an above average income? You become an above average person. That's how you do it. And I want to share with you a brief, I think it's it's 2 to 5 minute video here. And so let me go, and I'm going to, there's a way for me to share advanced. It might be a little choppy. I think the audio should be pretty clear. And I got to turn off my mic.
I believe desire and will to win is everything. I don't know why I'm like I am, but my butt's always burning. There's always something say, Art dadgummit, you're supposed to go for it. Art dadgummit, you're supposed to be somebody. You're supposed to make a difference with your life. What does the $500,000 a year person do? The $50,000 a year person doesn't do. You look at the outside and study those 2 individuals, everything seems to be the same. They both are the same sex, they both are the same age, they have the same training, the same positions, the same contract, the same fringe benefits. They both are successful, they work hard, they're good family people, make tough commitments. But what's the difference? What does the $500,000 a year person do? The $50,000 a year person doesn't do. He pays the price and a little bit more. He works hard and a little bit more. He's loyal to the company and a little bit more. He bleeds and a little bit more. He makes money and a little bit more. He saves money and a little bit more. If you want to win in these United States, you got to be tough and you can't quit. The last thing I'll talk to you about today in building this winning edge is, folks, if you want to win in business, you got to be a leader. Leadership is everything. You show me anything in these United States that win, I'll show you a leader at work. You show me a successful church, Boy Scout troop, club, football team, business, I'll show you something run by a leader. See, I thought at one time in my life you had to be smart to win. I used to have these smart people that dress so pretty and talk so pretty and use these big words. They just intimidated me, and I said, Art, you can't ever be that good. Why don't you just throw in the towel and go back and coach football for a living? And I found 2 things out about smart people. I think it's almost impossible for a smart person to win in business in America today. Because I find smart people spend their whole lifetime figuring things out. They're always trying to figure out an easier way and a quicker way. And another thing I found out about smart people is they just don't get around to doing nothing. And see, somebody like Art Williams, everybody says, well, he can't do it. And somebody like that can't do it, but he does it. See, folks, I want you to know almost everybody in America almost does enough to win. They almost get there. They almost are over the hump. They almost have it going. They almost in everything they do, almost is a way of life to almost everybody in America. but the winners do it. What do? They do whatever it takes to get the job done. They do it and do it and do it and do it and do it until the job gets done. We need leaders in America who can do it. If you want to become somebody, do it. If you want to go in business for yourself, do it. If you want to become financially independent, do it. I hear too much talk in these United States. Everybody can talk a good game. We need people in America who can do it. I go all over this country with A.L. Williams, and I have people say, Art, you can count on me. Wonderful. Just do it. Art, I guarantee you this is my last stop. I'm going to win now. Super duper. Just do it. Art, if I could just have one good month and get the ball going, I know I could make it big. Super. Just do it. Art, if I could just pay off this debt, I could really go. Great. Just do it. Art, if I could just sell my house. Do it. But houses ain't selling. Do it anyway. Art, I'm not making any money. What can I do? You just do it. Do what, Art? You do it and do it and do it. Art, I guarantee I'm going to win this contest. Super duper. Just do it. Art, I'm over the hump now. Watch my smoke. Great. Just do it. Art, I want to make it so bad I can taste it. What I do? You just do it. Art, I'm a vice president now. Can I quit doing it? No. Art, I don't know if I can keep on keeping on. I'm really hurting what I do. You just do it. Do what, Art? You do it and do it and do it. Art, all my life I want to be somebody important. Well, what do it then? Art, I'm going to save money so I don't have to go through this again. Great. Just do it. Art, I don't feel like I've had enough training. What I do? You just do it. Art, my manager don't give me no help. What I do? You just do it. Art, you don't understand. I was Mr. Everything in my former company. You don't mean I have to start off down at the bottom and do it, do you? Yep, you really got to do it. Art, what's the primary difference between winners and losers? The winners do it. They do it and do it and do it and do it until the job gets done. And then they talk about how great it is to finally have achieved something unique and how glad they are that they didn't quit like everybody else and how wonderful it is to finally be somebody they're proud of and make a difference with their life. Thank you.
I don't know about you, but that makes me want to run through a brick wall and do whatever it takes to win. And that's a 5-minute segment. It's actually a 20-minute speech, and I have a 2-minute version as well. And there have been points in my life when I woke up and that's the first thing I did. I opened my eyes and I listened to that every day. And I'm telling you, do it. And consider game time. That's when you do it. And it's outside of business hours that you do the planning, the training, the figure out a smarter way, figure out a better way. But man, when that buzzer goes off and that first quarter starts or that first inning starts or that first period starts, whatever your sport is, you do it. You do it. And you hold yourself accountable. Now, you can use masterminds and you can have accountability partners and you can have them help you and have them make you accountable as well. Now, did you see my screen or did you just hear that?
Just heard that.
I just heard it.
Okay. All right, so it didn't stream the video, but that's okay.
I had a picture of what the guy probably looked like.
Yeah, it's a 1980s clip, so I'm not the biggest fan of Zoom, but at least you got to hear it, and you can search for it on YouTube. If you'll search, just do a search for Art Williams and do it, and you'll find multiple. He gave that speech in 1987, I believe it was 1987. Awesome. Well, so when we talk about starting your day with good, positive things, I believe today more than ever, we have to get good at putting good stuff in because there's a lot of bad stuff that gets it in there on a daily basis. We live in a world that is very negative and very skeptical. And how do most people start their day? Most people start their day with an alarm clock, right? And then what? Well, then they turn on the news and find out how many people died and how many people were burned and how big the forest fire is. And, you know, if you're looking for bad news, just turn on the news. If you want good news, you got to put good stuff in. And here's the problem. Finish this statement for me. Okay? Good stuff in, what? Good stuff out, right? The beauty is good stuff in, good stuff stays. And you have the ability to put good stuff in on, I hope, a daily basis. That's what I believe. You should have a daily commitment to personal development, whether it's the first thing in the morning, whether it's the last thing before you go to sleep, or both, or if that's how you break up, put it in the middle of your day. But that should be on your activity calendar, and that should be scheduled time that you put good stuff in. And that video is an example of good stuff that you can put in. Now, good stuff in, good stuff stays. The problem is if you put bad stuff in, bad stuff stays. In one ear and out the other, no. That bad shit stays in there, and it ferments, and it causes poisons. And when I first started teaching this principle, it was in the mid 90s. And there may actually still be people here today that can remember a visual that I'm going to share with you. And I've never found another that's as powerful as this, or that had as big an impact on me. I was actually traveling. I was in Dallas, Texas. It was in April of 1995. And the day before was the Oklahoma City bombing. And the front page of every newspaper in the country, maybe the world, certainly the country, and it was on the cover of the Dallas Morning News that morning that was set outside my hotel room door. And it was everywhere in the airport as I walked through it. Was the front page of the paper. And it was a picture of a fireman holding a baby girl who was bloody and had been in that bombing. Because if you remember, if you know that story of the Oklahoma City bombing, on the first floor was a daycare center. And if you saw that image, you just saw it again. It's in your brain, and that was 26 years ago. And I'm telling you, you don't have to go to the news. If something happens that's noteworthy, people will tell you about it. And I'll use another example from many years ago. On September the 11th, 2001, it's a day that most of us will never forget. And I didn't start the day with news. In the Mountain Time Zone, all of that happened at 6:45 in the morning, my time, because the first plane hit the first tower at 8:45. And it wasn't until the second plane had hit the second tower that I found out about it, because I stopped to get gas. And while my truck was filling up, I went inside to get a soda, and everyone in the convenience store was huddled around the cash register watching a little TV screen. And I said, what in the world is going on? All right, so here's my point. If there's something that you need to know about, you'll find out about it. You don't have to go to the news as a source. Use the personal development as a daily practice. Read a book or a portion of a book, view a video, listen to an audio, but something every single day. One of my mentors, Jim Rohn, said, don't wish things were better. Wish you were better. Okay, the wind blows on all of us, and where you go in your sailboat is all dependent upon the setting of the sail. It's the setting of the sail that determines your direction or where you go in life. And there's a great free resource these days, and it's called YouTube, right? It's the best free resource in the world. You don't have to even watch. Every day, I start the day with YouTube videos, and I've got a queue set up. You know how it is. It's got an algorithm, and based on what you've been watching, it feeds up more of that. And so I just turn on YouTube and let it play, and I let just listening to the audio, and I hear from great teachers and great mentors. And this is just a short list that you could add to. probably names you know. Maybe one you don't know is Earl Shove. Earl Shove was Jim Rohn's mentor. Another one you might know, she's relatively new, Mel Robbins, blonde-haired lady with glasses. I think she's awesome. And there are so many more on top of that. Okay, so if you only get one thing out of this entire session today, I hope it is that you start a daily practice of self-development, because it will transform your life. And here's the beautiful thing about being a self-employed entrepreneur, either part-time or full-time. You have the ability to dramatically increase your income by getting better. If you get a little bit better, it can have actually a big result on your income when you work for yourself and you're an entrepreneur, as opposed to if you work for someone else at your job and you're hoping for that cost of living raise or possibly a promotion, which might even come with a pay raise. I love these promotions that people get when they work for someone else. They get a promotion, they got to work harder, and they got more responsibility, but they don't get any more pay. Okay, but think about it. Making yourself better, working for someone else, hopefully, yes.
You get the title.
Get the title. Oh yeah, I can remember the day in 1992 when my boss came up and I was crushing it. I was crushing it as director of sales and marketing, and I had transformed this company. Young kid, I've been 25 years old at the time, and I knocked their socks off. I came in every day. I read Dress for Success, and it made a big impression on me. So I showed up at this warehouse, and I had a little office in this warehouse, and I showed up with my shirt and tie, and slacks, and leather bottom shoes, because if you ever read Dress for Success, he's like, never wear rubber bottom shoes. You got to wear leather bottom shoes and keep them shine, and wear that tie and tie it perfectly, and quality garments, wool pants, cotton shirts that I'd taken to the cleaners. When I first started that job, I didn't have enough money to pay attention. And I had convinced my wife that it was that important that we had to put money into clothes, and I had to take my clothes to the dry cleaner. She's like, no, I'll iron them for you. I'm like, no, I'm going to take them to the cleaners and get them starched up, man, they were starched up, and always long sleeve, even in the middle of summer. To never, ever, ever wear a dress shirt with short sleeve. So long sleeve, wool slacks, tie, and man, I'd been there. It's a long story. I started there in July, and in October, it took me 3 months, and we were crushing it. Like numerically, I had probably quadrupled their sales after 3 months, and they had put me on. It was commission only, and I was starting to make some serious money. And I'll never forget the day. It was at the end of the day. It was a Friday. I was going home. It was payday. I had my paycheck. It was literally a physical check at the time. And my boss, there were two owners of the company, and he puts his arm around me and says, buddy, he said, you know what I love about you, Jerry? And I said, what's that? He said, you get shit done. We're going to give you a promotion. We're going to put you on salary. Really? I said, yeah. He said, I know you're going to continue to kick butt, and I want to put you on salary so you never have to worry about a down week. We're going to put you on salary. We're going to pay you $60,000 a year. I went home so pissed because I'd done the math, and all he was doing was he realized that I was going to soon be making over $100,000 a year on the commission basis because I had exploded that company. And I was close to the $60,000 a year mark, on a weekly basis, if you do the math. Now, this was 1992, and just to set a frame of reference, $60,000 a year, I can't imagine living on that now. Of course, now 92 is 28 years ago, but I'm going to put a frame of reference. I graduated in April. This is 6 months later, 6 months out of college. I was out earning what law school graduates were making, because if you've ever done the whole academia thing, one of the things that business schools and law schools do is they talk about their placement record, and they talk about the average income of our graduates. And I remember very clearly at the time that the average law school graduate from my university, I graduated with a 4-year degree. Yeah, it took me 7 years, okay? Again, I was so poor I couldn't afford to pay attention. It took me longer. And so the average law school graduate, like I walked in April, and the guy and the gal that went to 3 years more school and was an attorney and working in a law firm was making an average of $45,000 a year. The business school was $42,000 a year, and I was making $60,000 a year salary. So I was doing okay. I was doing good. But that promotion, that was the day, literally that was the day that I realized, I'm thankful I realized it at a young age, 25, that I'm never going to get where I want to get working for someone else. And I literally started my own business the next week, part-time, importing shirts out of LA, and then I got to where I was importing shirts out of Pakistan at the time, and created my own business, reselling shirts to other imprinted sportswear companies. Okay. All right. So my point: personal development. You make yourself better, and because you work for yourself, you can have a huge impact on your income. All right. Let's get into some people call this meat and potatoes stuff. I think it's all important, or I wouldn't have taken your time or mine to have it. But I want to teach you some magic words. And I'm going to get back to the four magic words. This isn't the four magic words. I'm going to get to that and why they're so important. But these are just generally words that you can use. The power of life and death is in the words that we use, the words that we say to ourselves audibly or in our head, and the words and the verbiage that we use with our prospects and with our clients. See, your goal shouldn't be to go out and get a client. Your goal should be get the client so that you can grow the business. And you start with that client, that local business, and you get in here and you grow that business so that client ends up paying you 10 times more on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annual basis than they started out. You know, get them in, get them started, give them a taste of what you can do, and then grow the business. And there's some magic words that can help you with that. And this has a lot to do with psychology, has a lot to do with persuasion. If you're like me, you'll eventually blank. Fill in the blank as it relates to that client. I want to give you some options to think about for when that happens. A lot of stuff happened in the economy today. Business is down, sales are down, business is going out of business. Get tired of blank every day. Think about their points of pain. What could they be getting tired of? Get tired of worrying about blank. Get tired of worrying about how to blank. Get tired of putting up with blank. Okay? Make it applicable as possible to your prospect, to their industry that they're in. You know, Damon has mentioned, restaurants, car dealerships, whatever industry they're in. Those industries have some points of pain, but then that company has some points of pain. And by the way, you should be researching and getting as much information as you possibly can about your prospect before you make contact with them, so that you can provide solution-based selling to them. Provide solutions to their problems. Now, when you're sharing what it is that you can do, you want to focus on the benefits. And magic words like translate it for them. Talk about what you can do, and then translate. This means, well, how is that going to make them better? How's that going to make them more profitable? This means, and fill in the blank. You shared with them the benefits. You shared with them the features. And then translate it for them. This means boom, 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 boom. And 3's a magic number, so try to stick with 3. This means boom, boom, and boom. Okay? And hit them with 3 bullets, 3 arrows. Okay? For example, and then give them an example. Paint the picture for them. Stories sell, facts tell. Tell them which will, then what's the benefit? This feature, this feature, this feature, which will, and then hit them with the benefit. Now, what this is going to do for you, Mary, is this will help. These are key magic words that penetrate their psyche and really make them think. Now, you hit this with them in your presentation. It's a live presentation, if it's on a Zoom presentation, however you're making the presentation. But then in your follow-up, use these magic words in your follow-up. Focus first and foremost on benefits, then features. You know, in technology, and you think of a lot of what you're selling is technology. I'll just take the mobile app, for example. You know, you talk about it has this feature, and then this feature, and then this feature, and then this feature, and it also has this feature, and this feature. So what? What are the benefits? Maybe they're not connecting that dot. Maybe they're thinking about something else and listening to you with one ear and thinking about something else. Paint the picture for them. I'll give you the example of a screwdriver. Anybody here want a screwdriver? I know it's happy hour. I'm not talking about orange juice and vodka, okay? No one wants a screwdriver. No one wants a screwdriver. They want what the screwdriver can do, which is turn a screw in or out. So remember that. Nobody wants a screwdriver. Nobody wants a mobile app. They want what the mobile app will do. What are the benefits? Okay. And if you're writing these down, great. I'll send over a PDF that you can post that people can download, Damien. I think you mentioned that, but definitely. So you have all these. I want you to focus. There are two students that scare me whenever I'm teaching. The first student takes no notes, and they're just like, they take no notes. The second type that scares me is they try to take too many notes. Hit the high points. Remember, when you get an inspiration, put that on a separate sheet of paper. By the way, if you have questions, we'll take questions. I hope you're planning to allow for questions, Damien. That's another piece of paper. I might answer the question because you can think faster than I can talk, and I can talk pretty fast sometimes, okay? If I answer the question that you wrote down, scratch that question off. Okay? I usually start a presentation with that. Why do I do that? Because I don't want people asking questions until it's time for the questions. It'll get me off track, and it'll take too long to get through the material that I had planned.
Something to
Phrases.
Add, just real quick.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sure.
A little housekeeping and something to kind of get back to, and hopefully you are taking notes, because when you're taking notes, you're working with a couple of your senses, and you're going to imprint these notes in. I'm sure you're going to have access to the recording, but do also take some notes, but don't overtake the notes. Great point, Jerry. Know that you will be able to go back to the recording, and then this tees up what we do with all this, 23 some odd weeks of content series, and we're going to continue to do them at least 3 weeks out of the month, is we're going to load them to the Go Mobile Marketing Masters Facebook group. So if you're one of the Go Mobile customers with any one of our product line, just go over there and request to join. This is going to be uploaded as a unit, and the PDF that he talks about, which is all this, will be uploaded too. Usually takes us about 3 weeks to get this stuff up. Why? Because we want you here live, right? And you can engage. It's so much better that way. But eventually it'll be in that, under units, in that Facebook group. And so definitely join and engage in there. As you heard earlier on, Jerry's in there and he's engaging. And that's kind of the impetus of bringing him back and getting in and him sharing some of this wisdom. So hopefully you guys are all enjoying it. We do have some more, but I did want to just throw that down that, this will be recorded and it will be available to you. It's good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. Anybody here a fan of the TV show Office? I don't watch a lot of TV, but I find things that I like, and then I set the DVR and watch it on my schedule. I loved that show, The Office. I love Michael Scott moment. You see me drinking. Can you read what it says?
Number 1, right? Numero uno.
And?
Grandpa.
Found it at Spencer's Gifts. Got it for half off.
Nice.
That's a Michael Scott joke. He had the number 1 boss. And the joke was, he bought it for himself. I didn't buy that for myself, but it's a Michael Scott one. All right. Okay, back into it. Phrases to avoid. We talk about magic words, phrases to avoid. I am just checking in. Don't ever say that. I wanted to follow up. Why did you? Becomes accusatory. When do you have time to chat? Never. They don't have time. They're short on time. I was just in your area. You're right. Be authentic. It's more important now than I've ever seen in my career to be authentic. And the reason is people are more skeptical than ever before. Your prospects, your business owners are more skeptical than ever.
Authentic and direct. Be clear.
Yeah.
You know, when I read these that you have on the screen there, you know the first thing goes off in my mind? Confidence. Lack thereof.
Yes.
You use this language because you want to downsell what you're doing and because of the lack of confidence. Be direct. You know, it just, you know, what is our next step? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Be authentic and be
Yeah.
direct.
Our old buddy Marshall Silver, a phrase that I was using before I even met him. Again, I think there's no such thing as an original thought. Someone taught him to say it. I don't know where I picked it up, but he used to say, how many of you think I'm here to sell you something? I promise not to disappoint you.
I'm guilty as charged. So by the way, Marshall Silver was one of our guests. It must have been about 10 weeks back now. And, you know, that's where I learned a lot of my stage speaking skills. And that one was a good one. That one. And then there's some blue jokes too, but we'll save those.
The point on that is be authentic. You're there in front of virtually on a Zoom or a webcast or, you know, a web call or in person. You're there to sell them. You're there to take money from them.
And
Don't pussyfoot around that. You're only going to sell them if you can help them. And you should be passionate about wanting to help them. I have that in the follow-up sequence, but I'm going to hit on it now. Be passionate about helping them and be authentic and be real about that. I'm a passionate believer in small local businesses, and I'm passionate about helping them thrive, not just survive, but thrive. And it's those that adapt to this world that we're in and use this digital technology that we can expose them to and give them access to. It is those business owners that will thrive as a result. And be passionate about that. Be passionate about that. Now, I'm going to teach you something that I've taught to very few people over the years. And it was taught to me at the age of 17 years old. I was a radio station disc jockey in Western Colorado, 58 KUBC. That was back in the days before we used 580 KUBC. It's 58 KUBC. And I was a high school student, 17 years old. And my boss was called the program director. And we can use PG-13 language here. I'm going to assume forgiveness and permission. He was an asshole, man. I mean, he was always overly direct. He was anal. He was OCD, and he was just a hard ass to work for. And here I'm a 17-year-old kid, and we did what was called air check tapes. And at the radio station, there was a cassette player connected to what's called the board. And whenever you clicked on the microphone, it had a wire to the cassette recorder. And you're responsible to bring your own cassette, and it would record everything you said, right? So I would do usually a 6-hour shift, and everything that the microphone was on, you know, most of it was music and commercials and news. We played news as well. So that 6-hour show could be condensed into not very many minutes on the cassette tape. And then I'll say it was probably about every other week, maybe every third week, I would have to go by after I got out of school in the afternoon, go into his office. His name was Angus, and painful process of listening to that air check tape and him telling me all the things I did wrong. And what I'm going to teach you right here is a very powerful communication skill that I developed thanks to Angus. And by the way, we're Facebook friends now. It's really cool. I think he's probably in his 80s now, or close to 80s, lives in Albuquerque, he's retired, but we're friends on Facebook, and he'll comment on my stuff, I'll comment on his stuff, and recently I gave him credit for this in a post, and he kind of got emotional in his reply back to me. What a huge impact his mentorship had on my personal and business life. And we, you know, in Western Colorado, especially in the winter, even more so, the weather report was really big. Like, is it going to snow? How much snow? And we used to do the road report, which roads had chain laws in effect. And so we'd give the weather probably 4 times an hour, and we got it on the, it's like, I forget what they call the machine, but it was a paper, like this, it was a service that they used. So news and weather would come on this paper, this roll of paper we'd tear off, and every once in a while we go check that for news stories and late breaking news stories and the weather. And so I was given the weather report on the it's like a teletype. In fact, it probably was. I was going to say ticker tape, but yeah, probably teletype is exactly what it was. And so I was given the weather report, and I said something along the lines of, for all of you out there, there probably were 3 of them listening, right? But in my mind, I had this audience. Yeah, I was the big man on campus. I was the Mac Daddy, because here I was a high school kid on the air on the local radio station, and there are only 2 radio stations in this little town anyway. And I was feeling pretty good about myself until I'd go in there and get beat down by my boss, right? He would tell me how terrible I was, and he didn't say that directly, but I mean, he was very criticizing, and I was learning. I mean, God, I wanted to be the next Rick Dees. Damien remembers Rick Dees from Kiss 102.7, the number 1 at Music Station. Yeah. I want to be the next. I would have been the next Rick Dees. Damn that Ryan Seacrest anyway. He took my spot because he kind of became the next Rick Dees at Kiss FM and on the weekly top 40 and everything. But
somebody give it up in the chat. Rick Dees in the morning tells what time it is.
And then he was a national personality because he did Rick Dees and the weekly top 40, which I at another radio station later played his weekly top 40 on vinyl, on LPs. They would ship us the LPs, and I would play that Rick Dees weekly top 40 in the middle of the night at a bigger station in a bigger city when I went to college. Anyway, I'm in the air check session with Angus, and he's listening, and then he would stop and, okay, here we go. Yeah, I got my pen and paper. I'm taking notes. And I had said something like, for all of you out there, I've got the weather forecast, and I know that's important for all of you. I was speaking to the big audience. And he stopped the tape. And he said, I want you to imagine Sally driving her car, listening to 58 KUBC, got a nice mix. It was what's called adult contemporary. So not top 40. Top 40 is a little brasher than adult contemporary. Hit Lionel Richie. Oh, actually, it's the Commodores at the time. He wasn't even solo yet. And Billy Joel and whatever. And so Sally's listening to this young, obviously young man, but he speaks pretty well, and he's playing some good music, and she's got the news, and here he comes with the weather. And Sally hears you say, for all of you out there, and she's driving her car, and she looks, there's no one sitting next to her. She looks in her rearview mirror. There's no one in the back seat. And she says, well, this young man, Jerry, obviously isn't talking to me. He's talking to all these people out there somewhere. And she reaches for the dial and changes the station. He said it's a subconscious thought that she has. It's not a conscious thought. That really stuck with me. And when I became a public speaker and teacher and trainer, back in the day, we used to get written evaluations. And I cannot tell you how many hundreds of times over the years people would write, they'd ask, rate this 1 to 5, rate this 1 to 5, rate this 1 to 5, and then a space for comments, write in comments. And hundreds of times I had people write, I felt like you were talking to me. I don't know if you caught that as we've gone through these, coming up on two hours now. We're at the 2-hour mark. But if I slipped, I don't recall. I didn't address the group. Everything that I say is directed at you. And that is a very powerful tool, because when you get in a situation, see, you have technology. One of the things Leanne asked that maybe I'd touch on was selling to a group. And I highly recommend that you experiment with, and we're getting ready to talk about experimenting in marketing, experiment with giving a group presentation, because with Zoom, and it's free. I mean, I have a paid account, but I can see 500 people on mine. I think you can get it for free, and it limits how many people you can see or whatever. But, you know, put 3, 4, 5, 6 prospects on at one time, and work for a week or two to get them, invite them to this special training that you're going to do. Provide value, provide content for the local business owners.
This is for you, Bryson.
Okay. And do quote unquote webinars. Okay. Use it. Now, when you do, practice with it. Okay. And when anytime you're speaking to a group, please remember, you're always only ever speaking to one person. Okay? That is a very powerful and important tip. That no one is going to teach you. No speaker coach, no speaker trainer. Damien, you and I have paid tens of thousands of dollars and sat through days. You've never gotten that from one of them. I got it from Angus Bowen at 17 years old, and I never forgot it. And I implemented it. It was unconscious competence until it dawned on me after all these people, and people would come up on the breaks. Hey, I just really want you to know, I really appreciate what you're training. I just feel like the whole time you're talking to me, because I never speak in plural. Please remove a word from your vocabulary when you're teaching, when you're talking to more than one person. Don't ever use the word guys unless you are quite literally only speaking to an audience of males. It drives me crazy, and everybody does it.
Guilty as charged.
Guys. It's a verbal crutch. Without further ado, it makes me want to take this pin and poke it in my ear. Right? Now. I have a partner of mine that, I mean, he's a good presenter. He says now 732 times in a 1-hour presentation. Okay.
What is that?
Well, I can't tell you.
Okay.
And I don't think you know. I just used one because I'm thinking, I'm stalling. See, silence is okay. In radio, we call it dead air, and you never wanted to have dead air on the radio. And when we're having a conversation, whether it's group or one-on-one, somehow we think that silence is bad. Just shut up. Don't say, I just did it. We'll catch ourselves. One of the things, I have a mentor, Jamie and I have a mentor in common, John, from Mississippi. And he taught me to record everything. Record everything. You're always creating content, whether you realize it or not. And CYA. People hear what they want to hear. I've had so many times over the years people claim that I said something. I didn't say that. And I can prove it because I have a recording. What you don't very often hear them say is listen to yourself. I know it's painful for people. Get over it. You don't like listening to yourself. Listen to yourself and critique and find ways that you can get better and recognize when you did, oh man, I nailed that. Realize when you do it right. And then sometimes you'll say something, you'll be inspired to say something, and you might not think to say that again, ever. It was so great. Man, wouldn't it have been awesome if you'd have recorded that, picked it up, wrote it down, and made that part of your presentation every time. You are always making presentations, whether it's one-on-one or to a group. 95%.
Are you on the phrases to avoid slide, or are you supposed to be on a different slide?
I've still got it up. Yeah, I could go blank here.
No, you're good.
Yeah, but the concept here is what was I saying?
Yeah, that's the age part. We're both getting there.
Well, that was the interruption part. I was on a roll.
You're always presenting.
Yeah, thank you. 95% of getting what you want is making a good presentation. You're always presenting. And so work hard here, just to wrap up this section, work hard on the words and the phrases to use and the ones to avoid. we are in the sales business, but we're also in the marketing business. And there's definitely a difference, right? There's definitely a difference between sales and marketing. With marketing, we should always be testing. Always be testing. And you've probably heard of something called an A/B split test. A/B split test can compare quantitatively which one works better. If you do an A/B split test and A works better than B, then go on to A and C. Is A still better than C? Oh no, C is actually better. Okay, then go to C and D. You're always experimenting, you're always trying. But I want you to make sure that a majority of the time, at 70, maybe even 80%, stick with what works. And if you're not sure what works, well, a part of every program that you've invested in is training, and they're training you on what works. And they might be training you on multiple different methods, and some methods work better for you than other methods. Always be testing, always be experimenting. So with the with the lower percentage, let's say 30, if we're using a 70-30, sample new strategies with 30%, and get to where you either dial that one in or throw that out and go on to the next. So if you think about what do we know works, again, with all your programs and all your systems, they're teaching you what works, what's most effective, and it may be for you as well. One of the things I had a mentor early on that taught me to be coachable and to do exactly what he said. I'll give you a small example. We were doing direct mail at the time, and he said always, his name's Ron, by the way, and Jamie knows what I'm talking about. And Ron taught with direct mail, always use yellow paper stock. Always use yellow paper stock. And I didn't question that. I didn't say, well, why? Why doesn't matter? This guy's a millionaire. He's crushing it. He has what I want. He says use yellow. I'm freaking using yellow. I'm not going to test green to see if green works better or question him as to why yellow. I'm just going to use yellow, okay? So that's a benefit that you have when you can use what you know works. And if you're the type that wants to try green or pink or some fluorescent color, okay, then do the 70-30, 70% yellow, and then if you want to try different colors, whatever, then that's your 30. What new strategy are we sampling? Always, always be sampling new strategies. New strategies. Think about it. A lot of things that we're doing in our businesses today, someone once came up with the idea and sampled it to see if it worked. And it did. In fact, it worked so good that that became all that they did. So always be willing to try new things. Try new things. So do you really want to learn how things really work? Learn the inside deal. Now, take a quick pause here, because you're witnessing something here that isn't very often done. Do you see how I just went from one slide presentation to another slide presentation, and I didn't say, oh, hold on a minute here, let me switch my slides. Okay, when you're in this webinar format, when you're selling to multiple people on a webinar, a Zoom or whatever, there's a little function here that says pause share, and I very rarely see anybody use it. So when they want to go from one thing to another, they gotta stop, and then you see their desktop. And I saw a guy, our old buddy Billy, you know what I'm talking about. Billy did a day-long deal yesterday, and the guy was trying to get his slides up, and he was showing his personal email. It had his personal email on the screen because he didn't know how to just hit the pause share. I mean, if you have to, you can even hit the stop share. That's the stop share, okay? But what I use is the pause share. Just come up as a little bit more professional. All right. Now I'm gonna share my screen back. All right, I'm coming down the home stretch. Does anybody need a cup of coffee? Everybody doing okay? Because I'm excited to share with you the inside deal. how things really work. I just found out 4 magic words that will transform your business. Guess what they are? One, 2, 3, 4. I just found out. Those are the 4 magic words. It's been driving some of you crazy for 2 hours now. Okay. Fill in the blanks. I just found out how small business owners can, boom, create some curiosity. When you do that by saying, I just found out, you are literally speaking directly to the subconscious mind. Understand, we want to speak directly to the subconscious mind. Would you like to know how curiosity works? I'm going to move so you don't think that I froze. Would you like to know how curiosity works? Are you curious? We have the ability to access 2 programs in the subconscious mind when we use those 4 magic words and when we stimulate some curiosity. The first is a primal instinct of survival. Whoa, you just found out something? This could be paramount to my survival, right? Anything for survival. The second is curiosity. It creates unease. I did that 2 hours ago when I opened what people will call a nested loop. When I told you that I was going to teach you, but you would have to stay to the end, and your brain, that causes on a subconscious level unease that your brain wants to have satisfied. In your self-development, in your personal development studies and research, I want you to, we've talked about Marshall, I had him on the list. Marshall is one of the absolute masters of teaching persuasion. And if you want to be incredibly successful, you will get very good at the skill of persuasion, at learning the science behind it. People think that sales is an art form. It's not, it's science. So in your personal development, I want you to seek out mentors, books, videos, audio, almost said tapes, that you can access that will teach you about this concept of persuasion and about how to speak to the subconscious mind. When I ask you, do you want to find out the inside scoop, what's really happening, what's really causing decisions to be made, a no decision or a yes decision of your prospects? How things really work is based upon the subconscious mind. The sooner you realize the subconscious mind is driving the bus, the more successful you'll be in life and in business. So I wanted to plant that seed, create that sense of curiosity and hopefully some urgency for you to seek out information that will teach you to be more powerful in hitting the subconscious mind and being able to be more persuasive. Persuasion is not a good thing. We're persuading them to buy from us products and services that we know will benefit their business, help their business to thrive. Okay. I want to wrap up with fortune is in the follow-up. Okay, in the last segment, and then I'm happy to take as many questions as any of you have. The fortune's in the follow-up. We've all heard that before. Follow-up is like oxygen to your business. It's incredibly important. And consistency is the key in follow-up. So you want to have that daily method of operation. And Bryson was talking about, cold calling, okay? Well, it's going to take multiple calls, multiple contacts, multiple emails, multiple messages for you to get through. Remember that 80% of sales occur between the 7th to the 10th follow-up. Now, I'm actually talking about two types of follow-up. You got to follow up, the follow-up to get the presentation, to be able to make the presentation on how your services and your products are going to benefit the business owner. Then once you make the presentation, I'd love to tell you that, they're all going to say yes. I'm going to tell you more will say no than will say yes. And very few will say yes at first blush. It's going to take follow-up to get the presentation, be able to make the presentation. And then after the presentation, it's going to take follow-up in order to get the sale. Most people don't respond to the first 5 follow-ups. Why? I don't know. Most people don't live their lives with a sense of urgency. So listen, don't take it personal. People are busy. Business owners today are in forest fire mode, man. And they're not just waiting for someone to call and sell them something. They're not hoping a salesperson walks through their door. You know, Damien and I walked the soles off our shoes on the streets cold calling, and we got way more no's than we ever got yeses. And you've got to follow up. Now, one of the things that's going to help you be especially successful with your follow-up is if you truly are in business to help people. I'm a passionate believer in local small businesses, and I'm passionate about helping them stay in business, not go out of business, and then thrive, not just survive. Back to the famous Zig Ziglar quote, helping up other people get what they want, you can get what you want. What do they want? They want more profits. How do they get more profits? They make more sales. How do they make more sales? A lot of times by getting an influx of new customers, and then tools that we have to re-engage with existing customers to increase the average dollar amount spent by those customers on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual basis. I want you to be authentic about it. And I want you to understand that following up is an act of caring. Don't posture it even in the back of your mind as that you're a pest. You're bugging them. No. I want you to think of it. My first ever sales trainer, when I got out of college, I got dumped into a situation that lasted 3 months before a company grabbed me because they saw that a company that never sold anything all of a sudden was starting to sell something. And they drove over because they were a vendor providing to that company. And all of a sudden that company needed more of what they were selling. And they're like, holy shit, they're actually selling something. Let's go by and see why. And they're like, yeah, we got this new college kid. Yeah, we got this new Jerry, man. He's really selling. Well, it took them about a month later, they hired me away, okay? Well, I got thrown in a situation. I'd never had any sales training in my life. And I'm trying to sell commission only. And I'm like, I got to get some training. And I found Nightingale Conant, and I ordered a cassette tape series from Nightingale Conant. They're based in Chicago. And I was looking at their catalog, and they had something called hardball selling. And as Damien knows, baseball has been a huge part of my life. And I bought it simply because of the title, hardball. Baseball is sometimes called hardball as opposed to softball. I bought that, hardball selling. The name escapes me. I'm reaching for it. I believe his first name was Earl. He was a sales trainer who had been a life insurance salesman. And I can still hear his voice, that Eastern accent, probably New York accent, from those tapes that I listened to over and over and over again. And one of the analogies that he used is you have to believe that your product is so important, it's going to save their life. He said, as if it were the cure for cancer. If it were the cure of cancer and they had cancer and you were selling the cancer cure, you would hold their mouth open and shove it down their throat if that's what it took to get a sale, because you know that sale is going to save their life. Sound like any life insurance salesman you know? But the concept is simple. What we have is going to save their business's life. And I want you, from a caring point of view, really care about them and literally express your care for them and their goals. Express your care for them and their goals. Find out what their goals are. Whenever you're reaching out to them, if it's by phone, if it's by email, sometimes after you develop a rapport, you text with them, always use quick, short messages. And don't let anyone fall through the cracks. You've got to be diligent and consistent and have a methodology. You have to have a system. You know, Bryson, I'll use you as an example. Thanks for participating. If your goal is to call 20, well, that's 20 more calls, most likely, 19 more calls that you're going to have to make as a follow-up to that call. And I would do it every day until you get them on the phone. And then you're working, once you get them on the phone, you're working to get a presentation. Don't think that just because you got them on the phone, they're going, oh yeah, why don't you come on by? I don't got nothing going on. Sell me your stuff. Give me a presentation. Come on by. No, it's going to take multiple follow-ups to get that presentation. And that's got to be a part of your methodology. And you'll figure out what works best. You know, one of the things that's so important that so few people teach is build rapport. Your first goal when you're communicating with them and they're communicating back, you're actually having an exchange, is to build rapport. And I drive people crazy sometimes. Like if I do a lot of three-way calls and three-way Zooms where I'm the senior person and the junior person brings me their prospect and I help them close their prospect. I teach a principle called the tripod of the triangle of trust. And if you're the trust, you can't be the authority. Okay, it's a different industry; it doesn't apply here, but the concept here is simple. And I will drive, and I'll have to explain to them, and I still drive them crazy because I will spend. If we have a half-hour appointment schedule, I might spend 10 or 15 minutes building rapport. And I was doing this. I'll give you a recent example. We were speaking with a Jamaican politician in Jamaica, literally, and I'm building rapport, and my junior salesperson is like trying to like prompt me to let's get into it. You know, I know so and so's really busy. It's, yeah, and I kept building rapport. Turns out he went to Harvard. And if you know where Harvard is, it's in a suburb of Boston, Cambridge. And I asked, when was he at Harvard? Well, he was at Harvard from 2003 to 2005. And I got goosebumps telling the story. I got goosebumps when he said that. I said, you were in Boston in 2004? He said, yeah, 2003, 2005. I go, hold on a second, I'm sorry. I gotta ask you, what was it like to be in Boston in October of 2004 when the Red Sox beat the Curs, beat the Yankees, came back from down 3 games, and then beat the Cardinals in the World Series and swept them in 4 games? What was that like? And it just like took him back. And he's like, oh, I watched all the games from a pub, and it was crazy, it was nuts, and it was one of the most fun, exciting times of my life. I got him. Do you understand? He's in my pocket. I got him. Build rapport. It's so important.
Very important. When I was, burning the soles on my feet, doing credit card processing, door to door of all ethnic groups. I mean, you name it, right? Just, I was selling my stuff. As long as I got their attention, the first thing I had to focus on was building rapport. You're going to be shut. You're going to be just told that I'm busy. We got to. Yeah. And it could be hanging on the wall.
Do it without thinking about it. Something hanging on the wall, a picture on their desk, something hanging on the wall, something they happen to mention, something the secretary or receptionist mentions. Look for some common thread that you can establish some commonality and build rapport.
So like for me,
be authentic.
So for me, when I was doing door-to-door home selling, if I saw that license plate with that sports team or that sticker on the or I saw the family of 5 on the window. Like I played in, all that always played in. If I saw 3 or 4 pieces of newspaper piled up, I rallied with them at how much of a joke that is that they still send that. Just like anything you can come up with on the fly to gain rapport. Some call it chit chat, some call it, some may say, well, people don't really have time for that. But you know what? It's worth 1 or 2 just to see if you can get some commonality real quick, because then the rest of the conversation is so much easier. Because remember, you're there to help them, right? But we got to get that rapport. Otherwise, you're just like everybody else. All those people that didn't get rapport and didn't get it quickly.
Right. And I've walked out of more than one office. When they didn't have time for me to build rapport. I did very politely. I said, hey, listen, can you get into it? Because, I'm kind of pressed for time, I'm kind of busy. I'll stand up right there. And I'll say, hey, I didn't realize this wasn't a good time. I can definitely come back when you have time. I'm excited to share the message with you. But if you're rushed, no, it's fine. It's fine, But I have, and I've rescheduled, and that's hard. That's hard to walk away. But it's that important. I believe it's that important to build rapport.
Yeah, and today was social media, real quick, and I was about to say what I'm not going to say. So crew, today with social media, it's kind of like walking up to their front door and looking at the license plate. You get these little snapshots of the stuff that's on publicly. Why not just do a little braze? Some call it stalking, but there's LinkedIn, and they may not be on Instagram, but you do a little bit of research. Yeah, because if it's just one thing, the guy likes cigars, maybe they received the cigar before you called them. Maybe they thought that was with a personal note that, hey, I'm going to be calling you about something pretty interesting, but enjoy this on me and we'll talk next week. Like, that would get my attention. Like, things like that. Do your research, and you can do it in the physical. I guess we're talking about how you do that in the virtual world. You do it through social media. Use it as you're told.
That's your research. And again, that's done not during game time. That's early in the morning, late at night, when it's not during game time. Okay. So have a system, whatever the system is. It's a dedicated notebook for prospects, and that notebook is where you keep your notes on prospects. Go back to archaic, but it worked really well for me back in the day. 3x5 cards, and the little recipe card boxes. Obviously, today we use software, and most of us are using software tools. And I was a Franklin Planner guy. You remember the Franklin Planner?
Dude, worse.
And
worse. Do you remember Glazer Kennedy and Dan? You remember Bill Glazer and Dan Kennedy?
Sure. Yeah, I was just on a mastermind that they had the other day.
Okay, those 3x5 cards. Yeah. Did you ever go down the rabbit hole of actually using the Post-its and doing a whole Post-it system with the little clay stickies to the wall? Did you ever do that?
I didn't. I know what you're talking about, but I didn't ever do that. Yeah.
Unbelievable how detailed that process is. Again, there's systems for everyone, but that reminds me of that Franklin Covey.
Yeah, it's a system. So learn a system, use a system. I was going to share with you one of the systems that I use, and it starts back from the Franklin Planner days. If you remember the Franklin Planner, I started carrying one in October of '88, and I carried it from October of '88 till June of 2000. And a Franklin Planner was a notebook that you would carry, and on the left-hand side was your calendar for the day and your appointments, and there was a place where you could jot expenses there. And on the right-hand page was a big blank page, and that's where I took notes. And I had in my office, in my credenza behind my desk, every year that I carried a Franklin Planner, I had all the pages, and then I could go back and I could research after the fact if I could remember kind of sort of the day, and I flipped through. This is before everything was digitized, right? Well, in June of 2000, I started carrying a Palm Pilot, and my business partner at the time gave me a Palm Pilot. He whose name shall never be mentioned, but he's actually who introduced me to Damien in the first place, I believe. Maybe I knew Damien. No, I think I knew Damien before, but he's someone we know in common. He gave me that Palm Pilot as a birthday gift, and so I kind of used it, right? My business partner gave me this, a really nice gift. They weren't cheap, and so I started. Had all my calendar and everything in it. All my contacts were in it. I still have contacts in my iPhone today from that Palm Pilot because merge and sync and merge and sync. Now I think I still have your old Coast, your old Coast. I know I have your Costa Mesa address. I think I have the old address that might have been Huntington Beach, or anyway. I started keeping it electronically, right? But the thing I always missed was that right. Yeah, well, that's just the current numbers. What about the 50 I used to have? My son said, "Dad, you've got more phone numbers than Michael Jackson has dance moves," and that was before Michael Jackson died. Because with the old PB Next, I had so many phone numbers. Because I used different phone number for different things and different marketing and different advertising. But I always miss that right-hand page to take notes. I love to take notes. I have a great memory. 2 reasons I have a great memory. I wrote it down, but I also can refer back to it. And what I use today is Evernote. And Evernote is a free platform, and I love it, love it. Been using it for years. Back in 2012, I went to South by Southwest in Austin and went to some, they have these breakout sessions and the CEO talk. And this was early Evernote days. I've already been using it for a couple of years. I love Evernote. And if you're on an iPhone, and they may have it on the Android as well, they have ancillary apps that tie into Evernote. And one I use every day is called Day Entry, and it's so awesome. I take notes based upon that day, and then when I save it, it saves it into a notebook for the year and then every month. And it automatically date and time stamps everything. Wow. And then it's all searchable. It's all searchable in Evernote. And so that's a great tool. So use Evernote definitely. And then depending on which platform you're on, Android or iPhone, you can just search in the App Store for under Evernote, and it'll give you a bunch of different apps that have been built to work with Evernote. And the one I love, I actually use it more than I use Evernote, and I'm indirectly using Evernote, is that Day Entry. Because my brain, Damien knows I have a ridiculously crazy memory. And one of the ways my memory works is I remember where I was when the conversation happened. I see myself visually there, where I was. I was in South Carolina at the condo next to the beach when you and I and Ian had that conversation. And then based upon I know where I was, then it'll trigger in my memory, that was the spring of 2009. And I don't know if that stems back from those old binders in Franklin, the Franklin Planner, but I can search. I can search by keyword, and then it's all categorized there by the day and time and everything. It's awesome. Use tools like that. HubSpot is a really great CRM, and it's free. I've been using it for years now, and I've never paid for the premium upgrade. And you can create multiple accounts for different businesses, and I love HubSpot. I'm a huge, big fan. You can actually, it's really great, Bryson, for calling, because you can use an interface and make the calls from HubSpot, and then it records those calls. See, the beautiful thing about an effective CRM, and there are a bunch of them out there, and most of them aren't free, but with HubSpot, for example, you can merge all your contacts from your address book, from your iPhone, your Android, whatever, in there, or you can hard key them in as well. And then you can keep track of every attempted call. You can send emails from HubSpot. You can link HubSpot to your email, and so you actually are sending the emails from within HubSpot. And when you do that, it tags in that profile the day and time and the email, and you can click on it, and then it'll open up the email. Now I can search. When you link your email box to HubSpot, you can actually search for every email, but it only logs the one, I believe, unless they've updated it, and I haven't noticed. It only logs the emails in the CRM contact record of the ones you send from within HubSpot, but it has a really cool tool, okay? Again, it's free, it's free. It puts a little tag on that email, and you can get, because it's an app, you can access it online through the web browser, but it's also an app that you can download to your phone. And I will get a push notification every time that email is opened.
Oh, that's cool.
It is so powerful, because what better time to follow up with a prospect than literally the minute that they open the email.
That is really cool.
You'll freak them out. You'll freak them out. I guarantee you'll freak them out because they'll be like, "That's so amazing that you would call right now. I was just reading your email."
That is super cool, man.
That reminds me of
what a coincidence.
With PB Next, when they would call the 800 number, hit the extension, and the next thing you know, I'm calling them and, "Hey, this is Damien. I see you're in front of the house on Cheyenne Street."
Yep.
Remember that presentation, Jerry?
Oh yeah. It's good. That was such an incredible, powerful tool, something that no one else had, and we could. Geez. I really still most days I miss my PB Next. I used it from May of 2005 until what, like a year, maybe 2 years ago. Phenomenal tool. So this HubSpot, I hope that's a big takeaway for you. Because it's a really cool hack that you can see, and again, it's not just the first time they open it. Every time it's open. Now, if they forward it to someone, if they forward it to someone, right, and that someone opens it, you don't know that it's someone different because they're forwarding the original email.
Oh. Okay.
But you see that it was open, and that's the most critical information is that it was open, and you'll find that email will be open multiple times, and you're gonna see a pattern. Most busy people have some sort of a system, and for example, busy people check their email forever, right? Like maybe that's the first thing they do when they get to the office, the last thing before they go to bed. So you'll just see some outrageous times when those emails are being opened. I'm not saying call them at 5 in the morning, but you could damn sure email them at 5 in the morning.
Sure.
Because you've seen that that's when they open their emails. Okay?
Right.
Fortune's in the follow-up. All right, so short, quick messages. Hey, Charlie, just checking in like I promised I would. What questions do you have for me?
Fair enough.
Let them know you're going to be following up. Hey, I understand you're a busy guy. I'm going to check in with you every once in a while, see how things are going. Is that okay?
Perfect.
I can't say never. I don't like use always, or never. But I can't remember someone saying, no, don't follow up with me. I let them know I'm going to be following up. Hey, I just like I promised I would. Hey, Charlie, just making sure you got my email or my voicemail or whatever, and checking to see if you have any questions. Hi, Charlie, I'm excited about helping you with your goals. And if you discussed specific goals, mention those goals. Can't wait to get started. Now, do you see here, these are examples of what I would use for, I told you I'd get into sense of urgency and I get callbacks on my voicemail messages. How many times, I give you 3 simple scripts, 3 simple messages there. How many times did I ask them to call me?
Not once.
I never ask them to call me. I never ask them to call me. I never is a big word. I shouldn't say never. I rarely ask them to call me. Hey, Charlie, just staying in touch so I can help you achieve your goals. And again, get specific. And that's in your notes. That's in your CRM. That's in your HubSpot if you're using it. Hi, Charlie. I hope you're doing well. I'm here when you're ready. Hi, Charlie. I know you were excited about getting started, and I promise to be here to help you along the way. Do you have any questions for me? This is the one where, they almost signed that first day, made that first presentation. They were going to sleep on it, think about it, maybe talk to their partner, whatever. And they were right there. They were just right there. And then all of a sudden, you can't get them to pick up a phone or to return a call.
Hey, Jerry, are these follow-ups here, are these after the initial meeting or prior?
Well, you can see most of these here. I've got rapport and I know about goals and things.
Right. Okay. Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Generally speaking, when we talk about follow-up, the follow-up's after the presentation, right? I'm just teaching you 2 forms of follow-up. Follow-up to get the presentation, and then follow-up to get the sale after the presentation.
Okay.
Good morning, Charlie. Just stopping by to wish you a fantastic day. Hey, Charlie, I know life can be, and that's a post I would make like on their LinkedIn page, or if they have a business page. Hey, Charlie, I know life can be really hectic. I hope I'm not turning into a pest. I'm just trying to follow up and be present. When you're ready, let me know if I can help.
Awesome.
Hey, Charlie, just staying in touch like I promised I would. I'm committed to helping you if you'll commit to get started. So put it on them. You're here to help, and you've got something, but you've got to commit to get started. hey, Charlie, just wanted you to know that I'm rooting for you and would love to help. You know, especially in this day and age, especially with so many businesses shutting down, man, you're rooting for them. You're rooting for their success. You're rooting for them to stay in business. Okay. Well, that's all I've got.
I actually have a question, or a couple, I should say. Well, first off, I just wanted to thank you for taking the time. I've actually learned quite a bit, and I just, like I said, wanted to thank you for your time this evening. Now, you said to cold call from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., and I'm going to try that. That's actually something interesting to try. So
well, when I said 5 a.m., you in the Mountain Time Zone, you're calling the East Coast.
East Coast, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So 5 a.m., I'm calling the East Coast. Now 6 a.m., am I calling a different time
whatever
zone?
Works for you. Whatever
right?
works for you. Yeah, whatever
right?
works for you. Maybe you find it's effective to call from 7 to 8:30. Okay,
right.
So you call the East Coast, and you don't have to do it the same every day, right? So
right.
So you know, maybe you're calling the East Coast for an hour, but you want to hit the Central Time Zone at 7 a.m. their time on
right.
Tuesday and Thursday or whatever. Yeah, just break it up. Just be specific. Write it down. Hold yourself accountable. Have a plan. Make the plan outside of game time, and then during game time, like I said, you're sitting down with those 30 numbers, those 25 numbers.
Right.
Not 20. If 20 is your goal, you got to have more than 20. And you sit down and you're just dialing. Boom, 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 boom.
Okay. Now, also, just really fast. Now, do I do the same time for follow-up calls as well? So like 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7?
It depends. It depends because, you know, let's say, what's one of the verticals that you're targeting? What industry?
So my current niche is essentially beauty, health, and wellness. So if I break it down and niche down, we're talking ketamine clinics, chiropractors, therapists, personal trainers, S&P, which is scalp pigmentation. Also, we're doing a little bit of, hairdressers and, microblading and such and stuff like that.
Okay, time out. So let's just take chiropractors, for example, okay?
Cool.
So you've got in your system, and I'm referring to HubSpot, I love it, it's what I use. So you got in your HubSpot that you've called this chiropractor at this time and this time and this time, and let's say you're tried 3 times early and you're never getting them. Well, don't continue to hit yourself, beat your head on a brick wall. You've tried 2, 3, 4 times and you're not getting them then. So try a different time. Try an hour later. Try in the middle of the day. Try at the end of the day. Once again, just as early in the morning can be effective. Sometimes 5 to 6 is especially effective, or 5:30. After the gatekeeper or the receptionist, unplugs and leaves.
Right.
If that phone's ringing, you might catch that chiropractor finishing up, and he's in his office, and he sees the phone and he answers.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, but when you systematize everything, that's what's so cool about it is you can see what's not working, and if it's not working to call early, don't continue to call early. And
Okay.
you want to log all those calls. I use kind of like a shorthand. NA is no answer. LM is left message.
Right. Right. And I feel early in the morning or probably late in the evening is probably the best time for this type of niche, just essentially because every time I've tried during the day, that it's always the gatekeeper saying he's with a patient, can I take a message? Or, whatever. They're always busy. They're not going to jump on a call with me during the day. And so I found out that in the mornings, even later in the evening times, is the best time. But, before this call, I actually hit up Damien early in the week, and I've been having struggles with my sales process, trying to get booked meetings, and by having this call with you, I have figured it out. So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
And
Pleasure.
I came to realize it's my follow-up game. I'm not doing enough follow-ups here. Is why I'm not, and I'm trying, and I'm not calling at different times. I'm just calling at the same time every single day. That's my problem. And I figured that out thanks to you. So I really, really appreciate that.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. Let me hear how it goes moving forward.
For sure.
Fantastic. Do it. As Art Williams said, do it. Search that YouTube link.
No, it's funny that you. Right. No, it's funny you brought that video up because I actually have a tattoo that says "Just do it."
Yeah. Yeah,
Just-
I claim I would bet that the Portland, Oregon advertising agency, Wheaton and Kennedy, that developed the Nike slogan "Just Do It," I'd be shocked if they didn't get it from Art Williams. Because again, that was 87, and that was before the Just Do It campaign started.
Right. I bet it. But no, Jerry, I just wanted to again thank you so much for taking your time today. Thank you.
Absolutely, pal. Glad to do it. Glad to be of service.
Who else would like to share, have questions or comments or praise, whatever you got? Bring it up. Good to see a lot of you. All of you just stayed put today. Lisa says, thank you. You're such a great teacher. Learned so much. Yeah, I've always loved that about Jerry, is his teaching style. I've learned a lot of my speaking skills from Jerry, just watching, working with him. Learned a lot of my teaching styles from Jerry. I couldn't carry his lunch box, but I definitely have been inspired over the years. And he is one of the top Go Mobile trainers we've ever had. Absolutely.
3 hours is nothing. I'm used to going for 3 days. Takes me a couple hours to get my introduction out.
Yeah, Martin, come on. You got something. You always got at least something. Plus, we want to know what
Sometimes you let the master speak and nothing else needs to be said. It was great. Thank you, Jerry.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Let it soak in. Now, so I will remind me. I'm sure I'll remember, but in case I don't remember as fast as you remember to remind me, Damien. Power of life and death in the words. How many of you say, I won't forget? Your brain takes out the won't and here's forget, right? So I'm sure I will remember to send you the PDF of the slides here, Damien. And what I would recommend that you do.
I just found out that I was going to receive this PDF full of unbelievable nuggets you're all going to get. I love the 4 words.
Yeah, the 4 words is so powerful. It's so powerful.
You know what it does? A part that you said it, but I want to also put shine some lights on it. What it does is it creates FOMO. Look, I just found out. When you found out Bitcoin was at 20,000, you about lost your head because you heard about it at 100, and you're like, So anytime you hear "I just found out," human nature, it draws you in.
Survival and curiosity. We're literally speaking directly to the subconscious mind. It's very, very powerful.
It's insider material, it's backdoor material, it's only the people that are in the in know, it's the super exclusive material. It says all of that stuff.
Yeah. So powerful tool for application and retention. First, remember that knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. So what I want you to do in the next 48 hours, or if you're watching the recording, within 48 hours after you watch the recording, go back over your notes. I love these old Bic pens with the multiple colors. I take my notes in the blue. That one always runs out first, and then I got a bunch of them that the blue's the only one that's worn out. But go back to your notes within 48 hours and review the PDF, review your notes, and use a different color pen. And you will fill in information, whether it's information that I mentioned that you didn't get written down, or a nugget that Damien added, or just a brainstorm about it. But you want to do that within 48 hours, because memory experts tell us that you'll lose that short-term memory within 48 to 72 hours. Okay? So make sure that you review this and then create a map. MAP is an acronym. In your notes, write this down. MAP, make it an acronym, put periods after the letters. Based on every training that you attend, virtual, live, a book you read, an audio that you listen to, always create a map. It's a massive action plan. You're going to have items that you can take from every training that you can apply in your business, and then apply massive action to those. And just stop and think about the powerful words massive action. You have massive dreams and massive goals. They're going to require massive action. So from this training, when you review it, fill in the stuff that's up here that you didn't get written down, and then also fill out your massive action plan. And then do that with every training. Every training, you'll get, I won't say double, I'll say you get 10 times more out of that training. Glad you made it, Tina. Late, better late than never. Is that the old saying? Better late than never. Chase, thanks for the comment. Really good to hear you guys are doing great down there, Chase. I'm so excited that, is it Kimberly? Is that Chase's wife's name?
Yeah.
I'm so excited that Chase and Kimberly and the kids are down there with you. Good for them, good for you. That's awesome. Appreciate everybody's comments. You're right, Fred, more than a little bit. How about a lot of NLP training? NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Break it down. Neuro, the brain, linguistic, words, programming. The first person that you've got to learn to program their brain with your words is yourself. The first person you program is yourself with the words that you use, the words that you speak, and the words that you think. Again, it's personal development. I couldn't be a bigger advocate for personal development. I think you should work twice as hard on yourself as you do your business. That doesn't mean match the number of hours, but work hard on becoming a better you. And in all aspects of your life, not just business. But I think that's one of the things that entrepreneurship gives us the ability to do is it gives us the ability to grow personally on a personal level. You know, Damien's known me a long time. I've known Damien a long time. We are such different people today than we were 25 years ago. And we all should be getting better, and we all should be evolving. There's an old saying that youth is wasted on the young. I disagree. I think wisdom is wasted on the old. Making you think about that one. I can see the wheels.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Hey, what I would like to do, if I can, while you guys are all still here glued to your seat, do me a favor and unmute. Do me a favor and unmute. Give Jerry a big round of applause, a big Go Mobile community virtual hug. This was some really, really good stuff. So go ahead.
Thank
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for bringing it home.
Thank you.
Glad to bring it. Glad to bring it. I wish you all the success that you both desire and deserve. Be systematic, be diligent. I guess the last thing I'll leave you with is I think the first slide I shared, and I think it's a great one. So great. By the way, speaking of people that you can seek for personal development. And let's see, I'm not sharing anymore. So there you are. I'll leave where we started. Remember that the most difficult tasks are consummated not by a single explosive burst of energy or effort, but by the consistent, constant daily application of the best you have within you. Don't you dare work harder for someone else at a job than you do for yourself in your own business. Make it happen. Just do it. Do it.
Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it, man.
Well, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. And Damien, thank you for asking me to come on and teach. You know, have a teacher's heart, have a passion for it. Now I've got to get back to all these messages that I've ignored for the last 3 hours. I got a group down in Mexico that is blowing up my phone.
Thank you so much for the investment of your time, Jerry. We're so appreciative. This was absolutely phenomenal training.
You're very welcome. Thank you for being a good note taker and sharing those in the chat. That's awesome. Great service you provide.
Praise God. Thank you for the amazing content. I tell you, that was so noteworthy. So grateful.
Glad you enjoyed it. So put it to use and go out there and have fun and save some businesses' lives, because that's what we have the opportunity to do, because it's tough out there. Really a pleasure. Take care. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, Jerry.
Be safe, Jerry. That was amazing.
You like?
That was awesome. Thanks for having me on, Damien.
Yeah, no, that was great. I'm glad it made my job a lot easier. You sent a request and Jerry takes it to the hoop.
Yeah, he definitely. I'm probably gonna get HubSpot actually going this weekend, because I have basically, what's it called, an Excel spreadsheet of all my leads, and I have thousands of them, and maybe I can just feed them into HubSpot over the weekend and be ready Monday.
Perfect, dude. Well, you showed up to play, Bryson, so awesome. And all of you, every one of you that are on here today showed up to play, and you're still on here 3 hours in. So I know you got value. There was some really good notes. I'm working on the team to see if we can do something a little bit out of the norm, and see if I can get this replay out to those of you that were at least on here, so that you guys could, do the homework Jerry suggested, which is revisit this in 48 hours, revisit your notes while it's all still fresh. These are some things that you could, if you just apply half of what you learned today, this is foundational stuff that could really change the outcome of your year this year. I think you guys get that. You guys all know I've beat it into the heads that you're in a really special, unique time right now for what it is that we all do. You're in a position to serve, you're in a position to help. Like, all of the stars are aligned right now. Develop a little bit of a process, develop a system, give yourself some accountability, give yourself some structure, change things up, A/B test it, always try new strategies. What you learned today was foundational. This is stuff that you should apply all of it. So hopefully you loved it. Does anybody have any wins they want to share? I do want to wrap up. We went a little bit longer, and I do want to get back to the family here, but I do want to open it up to Mike if anybody has any wins they want to share.
I mean, I would share, but I feel like I've been the only one talking.
That's all right, man. You got to win. Share it.
I mean, it's a small win. I shared it with Kimberly and Chase, but essentially, we've been trying this new strategy. It's called a profile funnel, where we're trying to limit the cold outreach, essentially, and we're trying to make the our personal profile page on Facebook basically into a landing page. And so the goal here is to get inbound leads to come to you, because it basically skips a couple steps. They've already built the trust with you because they came to you because they see you as an expert, and they want a meeting with you because they already want your service. And so that's something that I've been having going, and so that's something that I'm proud of. Also, I've got a couple meetings booked for next week for my niche, so I'm really excited to knock those out of the park. And I'm really looking forward to those. That's basically all the wins I have at the moment. I did want to let you know, me and the wife are going to try and get up there at Cabo probably at the end of October. Kind of celebrate the Day of the Dead, kind of, hang out with you guys a bit, and go from there, man.
Give yourself some parameters. You get to go land four new clients. You've got plenty of time.
I must.
All right. Anybody else got a win for me, or for all of us? Share your wins. It could be even personal.
Don't be afraid to go back to your no pile. You'd be interested to know that they're ready to say yes. One of my other mentors, things, because all of a sudden I got a call back from a deal that I have been working and sort of nurturing for 12 months now. With a financial company. It's a $60,000 a year deal. So we're working to close that next week. And so this is strange times. I keep on saying it. Businesses need you. It's getting brutal out there. It is going to get even worse out there. When I work for the Fortune 2 company, and they just canceled our 401k effective October 1st, people are freaking out. And the reality is we have a vehicle here that can get you your own life, your own options. Whatever you want to do with those options is yours. That's for you to do. But you know what? I believe having options is better than no options.
Agreed 100%. Very, very good. Very good. Thank you for sharing. Everybody else? Little housekeeping. We got next week, we'll do another happy hour. I actually have options that I am evaluating right now for next week. We're either going to feature another amazing junior entrepreneur. I actually have a few that we are meeting the parents and getting to understand the stories. As if you notice, these junior entrepreneurs that we've had have all been they're all working on something special. They're working on their growth for junior entrepreneurship. But these ones that are also aligned with altruistic movements, really it's interesting, right? So we're just evaluating. We want to at least have one junior entrepreneur on a month, if not two, but then also bring you some experts. So I actually have another mindset maverick magic person for next week, or junior entrepreneur. I'm going to huddle with the team and we'll decide. But Go Mobile will bring it to you again next Friday, same bat hour, same bat channel, same bat. What? How does it go, Bryson?
Enough with the bats.
Oh, that's right. You live out there in Houston where you got to dodge them.
Yes.
All right. Well, so good to see all you guys. We're closing in on the end of September. I was reflecting on the fact I just got, like I said, done with a 1,000-mile drive. And since I was essentially alone in my car and my son was in his car in the other car. And, I reflected on the fact that this year, it's been turmoil for everyone. So no one's left out, right? Everyone can feel, they can relate to the fact that they've been isolated. They can relate to the fact that they haven't seen close family. They can relate, unfortunately, many can relate to losing loved ones. And there's this, even though there's a lot of polarization and, all this other stuff going on that's the garbage out there, even though that's going on because it's human nature, there's also this sense of we all went through this together. We are all going through this together. And I reflected on the fact that it's going to be October. Most of this year has been involved in a global pandemic and an economic shutdown and a complete shift of how business works. And it's not done yet. It's still going on. So, the whole thought of this being a calendar year effect, I'm sure you're all convinced it's way beyond that now. And at the beginning, when we started seeing the news and we started hearing all the stuff and reading it or whatever, we're like, well, there's no way something like this will go on for a year. And we've learned some valuable lessons. And I know for me, I've definitely learned a lot of lessons about, what's important. I think for a lot of you as well. And before we know it, this year's over. Now that doesn't mean it's going to just magically be, we're going to be back to going in full-blown mosh pits at the concerts, or, that they're going to be getting rid of the weird, awkward, cutout cardboard people in the stands of the football games. But the reality is it's probably going to be the new way that we're all going to react. And I'm just so thankful for all of you. I'm thankful that we're in this business that is in the grain. It's in the grain, right? It's not like an industry that's completely decimated. You've got to find another industry because no one is buying this anymore. It's not one of those industries where you might have been strong foothold, 20 years of experience, and you're really good at what you do, and it's just been decimated or it's just no longer a thing. We're actually in a business that Jerry mentioned it. I do watch a lot of Bloomberg and CNBC, and I listen to a lot of the billionaires talk, and Ray Dalio, for instance, Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett's not even that tech. He's never really been in all that tech. Of course, people on his team are buying into the tech and doing some different things. But here's the thing. Everything is pointing back to the solution, enablement. Everything is. Like when I saw the .com bubble starting to bubble up back in 96, let's say, the writing was on the wall, but that's where it was going. Like all these companies were going to run up, all the FOMO was in, everybody was going to get in. It was like, and they weren't making any money, and it completely got crushed, right? But the front runners, the ones that are still here today, Amazon, Google, Facebook, right? All of the Adobe, the big cloud technologies. Okay, think about all the ones that are still here today. They're all making money. Gone are the days of not making money. They're killing it in what's supposed to be a recession. They're crushing it. They're enablers. And so I'm so thankful. I know you're hearing it. It might sound like a broken record, but I want you to shut this computer down tonight. And when you go to bed, go, damn it, he's freaking right. Like all my friends are complaining about how they're losing this, or their industries have been uprooted, or they just got kicked in the belly and lost their 23-year job, and their teachers are struggling and wanting to quit. The people that are on the front lines are starting to have mental challenges, like all this stuff around me, but yet this is one of the industries that's in the grain because everybody needs it. It's in high demand. Everybody's learned that they got to do it. And so all the companies that are positioned to enable can win. So my question to you is, how do you want to continue to position yourself to continue to enable? Because that's who's going to win. The big box, you're going to watch their stocks continue to skyrocket. Mark my words on this, it will continue to skyrocket. We got the big election coming up in 40 days. Who knows what goes on there? There may be red days, but look at the case is true. What has happened over the last 20, 30 years always goes up. The bottom line is these enablers are going to continue to make it more possible for you to sell to people on Zoom, are going to make it more possible for people to have 5G and high speeds, are going to make it more possible to get to want to overhaul their websites now because they need all kinds of little widgets and delivery components and all kinds of cool things. And now mobile apps were like a maybe, but now it's like, hey, I got to look at that now. So just remember, and as much as it sounds like a broken record, I just want you to go tell your spouse, tell your husband, tell your wife, tell your mom, your dad, I'm in a business that's positioned to win, unbelievably so. And I've been in this business for several years, and it's never been as ripe to win as it is right now. And so the types of training that we went through today with Jerry, you implement that simple structure, that process, that system, that accountability, those strategies, and you develop the inner conviction that what you have is gold and what you have in 2020 they need, and you are their total solution, then it's malpractice not to offer it to everyone out there. You're like you saw my post in the Go Mobile Facebook with Hasselhoff running down the beach. It's rescue time. I don't mean to dramatize it just for kicks and giggles here. I mean to dramatize it to get it through that I don't think you've really ever been in a better position as a digital marketing agency than you are in October of 2020. And so be thankful for that. Lean in, revisit these notes, revisit this training if I can get it out. If not, just revisit your notes in 48 hours. Be willing to implement on Monday. What's the one thing you're going to implement on Monday? And what's the one thing you're going to implement on Tuesday? And will you complete the worksheet that he just showed you with your days and your actions and the dailies? Do that. If you've been on trainings and people say really cool stuff and then you don't do it, well, if that didn't work, then maybe this time trying this, testing this out could give you some new trajectory, can give you some new motivation, can give you some new activity, some action. Bryson, the things that you're going to be implementing based on your willingness to engage with Jerry, and by the way, another key point for all of you here, Bryson got some big help today, didn't he? Because he showed up ready to play. He came here with his questions ready to go. He knew there was going to be an expert. So I'll encourage you all to do the same thing. We'll continue to shower you with some wisdom. Come ready to play, turn on your camera, ask those questions, engage, get your personal coaching. Free, right here. And so Bryson is going to implement some things. I guarantee you there'll be some action and activity that comes out of it. And so I wish that for all of you as well. So, all right, anybody have any comments before I close this down?
No comments, just thanking you, man. I appreciate everything, man.
Was my internet bad? Okay. Sorry, Bryson. I heard you. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Chase was up here at the top of the stairs staring at me, and I thought clearly I did something like my internet. He's getting my attention because the internet's like poppy or something. All right, guys. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I really, really appreciate you. Love all you guys.
Thank you, Damien.
Yes, you're very welcome, John. And I wish you guys a great weekend with your families. I know we're going to have one here now that we're all here in Cabo to sweat together, huh?
I'll be there soon. I'll be there soon.
Have a lovely time.
Martin, because we're going to do a mastermind. I'm close, Martin. I'm not going to let this thing hold us down from having these brilliant masterminds that we do. I got to get one in before this year's out. I don't know. Call me crazy, but I'm working on it. I think I need to. I'm jonesing. I'm missing.
Well, we know you're crazy. I mean, that's like saying the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. But you know, you do make some sense every once in a while. So I gotta push. Yeah, I gotta compress Damien's brain down just a little bit. You know, just to keep it in perspective.
Yeah, he does a good job at that.
We
He
love
does a
him
good
anyway.
job. I go into absolute depression every time I get off our calls. No, I'm kidding. Listen, man, thank you. Thank you for your engagement as well. Go ahead, Tara.
I said they've definitely kept me going during all these months. I just enjoyed it.
Me too. You guys kept me going, and still do. So, thank you. All right, well, I'm off, guys. Thank you so much. What we like to say now, I'll let Tara take us home.
Go mobile or go home.
All right, guys. Love you guys. Have a great weekend.
Love you
By the way,
guys.
that's my Chihuahua in the background. It's not my wife. That's my old Chihuahua. She's probably embarrassed. All
All right,
guys.
yeah, have a great weekend, guys.
You too. Take
Bye-bye.
care.